Anytime's great for football. But I know when it feels just right.
I'm gonna kick back, relax.
Watching football on a Friday night.
It's Friday!
And we're going to be hard to tame.
Eagle roll! It's Friday!
Coast to coast.
The CFL is Canada's game. We're all pumped up to party! And we ready for a fight. Kick back, relax.
Watching Friday night football.
The boys are all back. Playing CFL football. The game is up for grabs.
It's Friday night football tonight.
Well, another sellout crowd in Winnipeg tonight as the Bombers look to snap a three-game slide, but they will have to find a way to knock off the Argonauts, who have beat Winnipeg in 3 straight regular season meetings and, of course, in the Grey Cup. Either way, these fans are going to have fun. It's country night, for goodness sake. Where else would you rather be on a Friday night than right here watching CFL football? The answer is nowhere. That's Enoch Mwamba, Dave Naylor, and Milt Stegall as we get set for the Bombers taking on the Argonauts. Someone that you are watching tonight, Enoch.
Ooh, I'm going to go with number 10, and I'm not talking Nip Dembski. I'm talking about Kevin Mattal. He is a guy that's really underrated, and I think he's a young star in this league, and the more they throw the ball to him, the better he looks every single game. So I'll be looking to see how he's going to perform tonight as well.
I'll be keeping an eye on DeMonte Coxie coming off that 100-yard-plus receiving game a week ago. At 6'3" with those long arms, he is a tough matchup for the Bombers secondary. This is a guy I think has been sort of just below that tier of the top receivers in the league, and he looks like this year he may break through.
The player I'm watching, he has long arms also, Willie Jefferson. But those long arms haven't been used much this first part of the season. Willie Jefferson, we know what he's capable of, future Hall of Famer, multi-time All-Star, once Defensive Player of the Year. They need him to step up. They need him to go out there and make some plays. And it's not just with sacks. It's with knockdowns. It's with putting pressure on the quarterback. When he's playing at the top of his game, this team is capable of anything. So Willie Jefferson really needs to step up.
From each one of you, Milt, did the Bombers get it done tonight? Do they turn this streak around?
I think they do.
Okay.
You think I'm going to say anything?
No, I was going to say, you know what, I was thinking to myself, I'm like,
no,
why?
Toronto's going to win. Yes, let's go.
I looked right at your face, and I'm like, why would I ever ask Milt Stegall that question on national television? Let's go to Dave Naylor, who doesn't have a biased opinion when it comes to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
I'm going to say the Argos get it done again.
Okay.
I agree with you there.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be tough for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to go out there at home with a sellout crowd and beat the
I can't really ask you this question either. So Toronto all around is what we're saying. Toronto, Toronto, Toronto.
Winnipeg. Non-biased answer from me, Kate.
Well, it's been a tough go for the Bombers as of late. All 3 losses by a margin of 14 or more, but they are normally great in August. They kick off the month next. Melissa Cameron of Abbotsford, BC. This is your chance to win big thanks to Save on Foods' $1 Million Touchdown to Win. If a kickoff is returned for a touchdown, you could win groceries for a year. If 2 kickoffs are returned for touchdowns, you could also win $1 million. Good luck, Melissa. Let's get you to Winnipeg and join Marshall Ferguson and Dwayne Ford.
Thank you, Kate, and welcome to the Grey Cup rematch. So nice, we had to do it twice as Winnipeg returns home in hopes of slamming the brakes on a 3-game skid. Marshall Ferguson alongside Dwayne Ford. Britt Dort is down at field level for us here throughout the evening as Chris Strevler gets his opportunity to step in the limelight for the second time this season, his second official start, although he has been a relief dude the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, coming off the bench in the last couple of games in place of Zach Claris, but Strevler 1-0 as a starter this season. We know he adds a real dimension as a running threat to this Winnipeg Blue Bomber offense, brings a little bit of fire as a leader, and the Bombers are going to need that as they look to snap out of this losing skid. Meanwhile, over on the other side, you heard him mentioned a little bit earlier, wide receiver DeMonte Coxie for the Toronto Argonauts. coming off a big game. You heard Dave Naylor talk about it in the opening, a career high 145 yards through the air, one of the best contested ball receivers in the Canadian Football League.
And Damonte Coxie, one of the best weapons for Ryan Dinwiddie in this Toronto Argonauts double blue offense. He said 70-30 balls for Damonte Coxie anytime we put it up in the air, and he wants him to go and get it. Make some big plays here tonight on the road as Mike O'Shea leads his team in and says it's a blessing to have opponents back-to-back. We're underway from Princess Auto Stadium. 24 degrees. The smoke is held off as this one rolls along the turf and right into the fray immediately. A special teams miscue, but Chris Strevler does get the opening possession of this game.
Yeah, Quinton Cooley, backup running back into the game. One of many lineup changes for the Bombers this week, having a little bit of trouble with that opening kickoff. Nonetheless, decent field position at the 35-yard line as Chris Strevler looks to get this offense going.
Well, the best way to get good field position is just throw it off your knee and chase it down, right? It's the roll it forwards as far as you possibly
you can run faster without the ball in your arms, right?
But Cooley somehow able to recover that one. Strevler goes to work, 4 receivers to his left. Quick throw out. It's Jarrett Stearns, old reliable for this offense, as the rest of this Winnipeg starting offense, led by Chris Strevler, looks like this.
We mentioned a number of changes to the lineup. It's not Stanley Bryant checking back in at left tackle, but they do get a veteran in Eric Lofton. He's in place of Micah Vanterpool at that spot. Joey Corcoran takes over for an injured Cody Case, who is in the lineup for an injured Dalton Schoen. Much discussion of the fact that Dylan Mitchell remains sidelined for the Blue Bombers.
Only the second time this season Winnipeg has begun the football game with a called passing play, as this time they do go back to the ground attack on 2nd down and 2, stacked up inside, and it looks like they're very close. Brady Oliveira, his first touch of the ball game here.
Jordan Williams, 95, does a nice job shedding the block. The center, Chris Kolankowski, to come off and make a play on Oliveira.
And they won't send out the sticks to measure it. They'll call 3rd down immediately, and the offense stays on the field. Strevler comes off. Terry Wilson handling some of the short yardage responsibilities for the Bombers with Zach Collaros out of the lineup. You shuffle down the depth chart. A couple of times this season they have mixed and matched and thrown Wilson in. He looks much more comfortable as a short yardage quarterback as he takes the first sound snap and plunges across the line easily. The Argonauts starting defense going to rally around, charging against Chris Strevler here tonight.
And on that defensive line, we'll keep an eye on Andrew Chatfield Jr., among the league leaders in terms of pressures. 5 sacks in his first 4 games, but 0 for his last 3. So he's looked to get back on the stat sheet. Jarrett Martin checks back in at the nickel linebacker spot. He had played 3 games there previously with Derek Sluka out of the lineup. Tyshawn Blackburn shifts from nickel back to the free safety spot.
Strevler back on the field here with a first down. Another quick screen. This time Carrick Wheatfall chased down as Wynton McManus flies out to make the play. There's a late flag that comes up as well. Derek Parrish up against Pat Neufeld on the inside. And we'll get the first call of the evening from Justin McInnes. Parrish was mixing and matching in the first matchup of these 2 teams last week back at BMO Field. And was he involved here once again as they discuss it with the CFL Replay Center. Dave Foxcroft back there is the replay official here this evening. And they're marching it forward for Winnipeg. So good field position on a penalty.
Unnecessary roughness, Toronto, number 97. 15-yard penalty for the end of the play and an automatic first down.
And way behind the play, Dwayne.
Oh, Derek Parrish flagged on this one. You just see that scuffle happening on the ground between he and Neufeld, and you saw that foot swing up in an attempted kicking motion.
Yeah, a little bit too close for comfort for Justin McInnes there, who saw it first person, and so it moves the football forward. But just seeing Chris Strevler in control of this offense and him and Zach Collaros back and forth, unfortunately, for Winnipeg fans, they've seen it several times over already this season. A neck issue that Zach is dealing with. Sat out the second half last week back in Toronto, and he doesn't get the start here tonight.
Yeah, and obviously a loss anytime you lose a 2-time MOP, very experienced quarterback, a guy who has had a great deal of success in this league. But don't overlook the fact Chris Strevler in his 8th pro season
Striffler goes underneath, catch is made, saw that plenty of time against the Toronto defense last week. Joey Corcoran makes the grab on the shallow crosser, and you asked Striffler this week about the idea of, does it feel like a lifetime ago since you got your first CFL start? He said, a couple of lifetimes ago. It's a long time he's been in and out of the league.
Yeah, a lot of stops in his NFL journey along the way, but he really feels that the experiences he's had being a backup quarterback, but picking up things from all the various veteran quarterbacks he's been with along the way, obviously Zach Collaros included. You know, he feels like he has really refined his preparation process.
Sergio Castillo, fan favorite, wants to stay that way as he hammers this one from 45 away and off the uprights. 13 for 14 on the season. Made one from 58 yards away earlier this year, but that one no good from 45. So no points on the board, and a promising drive for Winnipeg, and Nick Arbuckle trying to rekindle some of that Grey Cup MVP magic here in Winnipeg. Speaking of victory against these Winnipeg Blue Bombers, 316 yards and a pair of touchdown passes. He's over 2,000 yards passing on the season as well. It's those 8 interceptions, though, tied for the league high with Zach Collaros, that has head coach Ryan Dinwiddie wanting him to play within himself, though, here tonight.
Yeah, this is something Nick Arbuckle, another veteran guy, you know, fairly comfortable in his role. But I think for him, maybe less pressure, if you will, with Chad Kelly going on the 6-game injured list. And he knows exactly how long he'll have this role.
Certainly gives him some clarity, and he knows many of the pieces that work around him here with the Argonauts starting offense.
Yeah, you look at this group. Sage Dockstader was a late scratch last week from that starting guard spot, but 3 guys essentially on that offensive line were in their first year as Canadian Football League starters. And the receiving corps waiting for Tavares Daniels to have a little bit of a breakout. Veteran receiver, he's been a 1,000-yard guy in this league. Can definitely be something of a game breaker to go along with Coxie.
Arbuckle, as they empty it out, 3-by-3 on either side, pressure's on, and down he goes. Arbuckle wrapped up and thrown to the turf. He got his first sack in Winnipeg Blue last week, and now James Vaughters has his second.
Yeah, it seems like James Vaughters is getting a little bit of momentum, also chipping in with a touchdown last week. Right side of your screen, just gets the hands of the right tackle, John Boss, off him. It's a nice job with the hand fights, swatting away the hands of the tackle on his punch.
The Toronto Argonauts have gone empty 3-by-3. 3 receivers on either side of Arbuckle this season, 15 times. They've been sacked now 4 times on the season. 26% of the time they're in that formation, it ends in a sack for Toronto. That is a rough number here in week number 9 as the kick is received and bumped out of bounds. There's Trey Vavel as Chris Strevler comes home to get his opportunity to start. Started here earlier on this season in week 2 when Zach Collaros was out with a 1-game suspension. Tonight, it's due to injury, and 17 wants to make his mark at home. Chris Strevler in meeting rooms with Aaron Rodgers, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson through his time dancing through the NFL. Here he is in the CFL last week in the rain, trying to control the football and put it in the best spots possible. But man, it was a battle uphill in that second half, down early on in the game, as well as the conditions worsening.
Yeah, definitely more favorable conditions for a quarterback, for offenses in general. Right, the first half of that ball game in particular, ball security, an issue for both teams. And as we talked about, the team that's best able to overcome it, adjust, and deal with the adversity was the Toronto Argonauts, and a big part of why they won the game.
Arbuckle felt that very much as this one gets knocked up in the air. It's intercepted. Cam Judge had a pick last week. He's got another now. Can he beat Strevler to the end zone? Cuts back. No flags down. Touchdown Argonauts.
Anthony Lanier in the middle of that defensive line. Got his hands up to bat that one down. Cameron Judge, the beneficiary on the tip drill, scoops it up. Lanier working laterally on the play, kind of recognizing where the quarterback's eyes were going as he was initially blocked up. Cameron Judge, Mr. Versatility in this Toronto Argonaut defense, has picks in back-to-back weeks.
And Week 8's highest-graded linebacker in the Canadian Football League, according to Pro Football Focus, is back at his old tricks thanks to Anthony Lanier for tracking the eyes of Chris Strevler, knocking it up in the air, and you can see the ball skills and the adjustment. You knew the big plays were coming, but a 47-yard interception return for the touchdown, and Kevin Ivan, co-defensive coordinator, loves it for number 8.
And again, big play for Lanier, free agent acquisition coming over from Saskatchewan in the offseason. Lanier is going to start off over here. You're going to see him rush upfield, and then he sort of drifts to his left. You're right on the screen as he gets blocked up, but he sees where the quarterback's eyes are going and has a great reaction to the football coming out. Cameron Judge, right place, right time. Cameron Judge can motor a little bit. He's off to the races on that one.
Done a lot of Argonauts games this year, Dwayne, and you get the sense Cam Judge early in the season dropped interceptions, nearly had a sack, didn't quite get there. A fumble's on the ground. Oh, he just missed it. He was so close so many times.
Bedtime. Had to get it done early for you, baby.
To making some big plays, and he finally has one here in back-to-back weeks against Winnipeg. An interception and a game-changing play as well, setting the tone as the offenses struggle back and forth. So a defensive touchdown for Toronto, just like Winnipeg had in the first half last week with James Vaughters on a fumble return touchdown. Liram Hairolahu, former Bomber himself, sends this one high into the smoky skies of Manitoba, drops down, and is returned by Trey Vowell across the 30, 40, 50, turns on the Jets, Vowell off to the races, 10-5 touchdown, immediate response for the Bombers.
And you can see this one shaping up early, a little bit of separation in terms of that web, that net in kick coverage for the Toronto Argonauts. Guys caught at different levels. And Trey Vowell has been handling the return duties for the Bombers all season. That's his welcome to the end zone moment.
93-yard return for number 23 as Sergio Castillo, doinking the field goal earlier, gets a chance to knock through the extra point. Janarian Grant on the other side, 13 career return touchdowns. Trey Vowell finally gets into the end zone, had 2 turnovers in 6 games and no majors. Well, no more.
Abbotsford, BC, you have just won groceries for a year thanks to Save on Foods' $1 million touchdown to win. Congratulations, Melissa. If there is another kickoff return for a touchdown in today's game, you could also win $1 million.
Roy Leister might not be the only major winner here this season, as we already had a big double return back in week 3 between Toronto and Saskatchewan. Maybe it's another Prairie team playing against the double blue. It'll lead to somebody else winning big. The front half of that required Trey Vowell to break through coverage, beat a couple of speedy coverage units, and away he goes into the end zone. A couple of major plays from defense and special teams dominating the first quarter here in week number 9 in Winnipeg as Janarian Grant with a flag down will step out of bounds about the 35-yard line. We'll clean that up afterwards, but Britt Dort has more on the Bombers week and some of the struggles getting prepped for this one.
Yeah, well, unfortunately on Tuesday they had to cancel practice altogether. That was, of course, due to the smoky conditions, but head coach Mike O'Shea wasn't really fazed by it because he said, well, the beauty of the CFL facing the same team 2 weeks in a row is I actually planned for it just to kind of be a walk-through practice anyway. Now, their DBs also talked about it and said, nobody's going to feel bad for us. We're not going to use this as an excuse, but defensively, they know they've had their struggles. The last 3 games, they've lost by double digits in all 3 of them. Now, last week, they did have 5 sacks on the night, but they only forced 1 turnover. So Mike O'Shea said, hey, sacks didn't win us the game. We have to take the ball back if we want to get some wins here, guys. So you can see that response after the pick 6. Maybe they're a little motivated to get the ball back on their side.
Yeah, thank you Brett, exactly what Mike O'Shea was asking for. Just 26 sacks all of last season. They had 5 last week against this Toronto offensive line, who's allowed 21 so far on the season. Quick screen goes to Kevin Mattal. As he rolls his way forward, is wrapped up and brought down by Evan Holm and the rest of this Winnipeg starting defense.
And we already mentioned James Fodders and his exploits last week, a sack and a touchdown on a fumble recovery. Another sack already in this one. Michael Griffin, this is a guy who plays a lot of snaps on defense for Winnipeg as it is, but now listed as the starter at the nickel linebacker spot as their shuffle on the back end sees Reddick Cramdy move from nickel to free safety. Jamal Parker takes over. He moves from free safety to the field corner position.
Quentin Cooley, the backup running back, was actually on the field on that last snap. In around linebacker, he sprints off as they get a sub in, and now Arbuckle gets his arm hit as a flag comes up. It's incomplete to Deontay McMahon. And they'll sort out the penalty flag here is on second down and incompletion. And Ryan Dinwiddie chomps away on that gum, trying to sort out how to attack this Winnipeg defense.
And there will be some things to sort out for Ryan Dinwiddie and the Toronto offense in the early going here this week, because there has been a shuffle of personnel on the Bombers defense, and I think they're seeing some different personnel packages already as it is. Jonathan Jones, the former Argonaut linebacker, coming onto the roster this week, making his Bomber debut.
Reddick Cramdy playing back at free safety here this evening in conversation with Jordan
The ruling
Younger.
on the field was an incomplete pass. Offside, Toronto, number 80. That penalty is declined. Third down.
So third down as DeVaris Daniels went offside, and Winnipeg has no interest in having to get another stop to change field position, so they will allow this one to be sent away to Trey Vavel, waiting back to receive after his massive kickoff return touchdown just a minute ago.
Vavel, who had that big return, actually didn't spend a lot of time on returns last week because he ended up playing a lot of the game on defense.
Yeah, mid-game substitution, as Mike O'Shea said. Jordan Younger's got all the flexibility to make those calls in the middle of the fray, and he did by putting Vavel in. As this one goes out to the sideline, as Chris Strevler watching on with plenty of entertainment here. He didn't really love the first one, but maybe the second a little bit more appreciative as we see the tip from Anthony Lanier into the hands of Cam Judge.
Yeah, kind of a rough way to start things off for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but as mentioned, special teams picks them up. You talk about complementary football, all 3 phases of the game, and a little bit of a reminder of just, as we often talk about, how many ways there are to score in Canadian football.
And you see there the leadership of Strevler as well as he looks to hand it off inside. Reigning MOP Brady Oliveira stacked up. As Strevler told us this week, he's like, Zach Collaros and I, we're both leaders. We can be leaders in different ways. We affect this roster in different ways, but we can help us win in our own unique way.
Yeah, absolutely. Slightly different personalities, and we all know the fire and energy of Chris Strevler. Both great competitors, as you see Trey Vavel still trying to catch his breath after a couple of returns back-to-back.
4 receivers to the left of Chris Strevler here. Pressure look from the Argonauts as Strevler steps up, looks to throw, and he'll get thrown down to the turf. Derek Parrish in amongst the mess. But the play is made by Aaron Casey, filling in at that rotation weak side linebacker spot as they get plenty of fresh bodies to rush off the edge.
Yeah, Aaron Casey coming from second level, left side of your screen. But you can see in that situation, Brady Oliveira picks him up, but didn't realize how close behind him Strevler was in that instance.
Strevler ran himself into that one a little bit. Looks like he might have wanted to take off, but by the time he had that idea, nobody was open as Janarian Grant receives this down at the 10-yard line, stutters, and gets whacked. Tanner Cadwalder, who has 7 special teams tackles, can't bring him down as a flag is thrown as well. Cadwalder chases it down from behind after missing the original tackles. The Wilfrid Laurier Golden Hawk alum makes the play at the end, and Chris Strevler fighting his way through this Toronto defense. It'll be a battle all night long here in Manitoba.
It's
Special teams, the all-important third element of the Canadian game. Their special teams coordinator Mike Miller at the helm, standing alongside Ethan Ball. It's caught the eye of Luke Wilson on the big return and specifically the prep going into this one, Luke.
Totally. You know, if you look at that first kick of the game, it worked out in the Argos' favor because you come here, you have a directional pop-up kick, and if you watch what kind of happened, it was the fumble. It ends up being a bit of a communication error here between Cooley and Vavel. Vavel's right there. Cooley's not sure, hey, what's going on? We dropped the ball. They're very lucky to get on it. I said, you got to give the flowers to Mike Miller. He goes, he cleans this thing up. Watch how clean this looks now. Cooley goes right away. Yep, we're good. Vavel knows. They go back to the well, that being the Argos, and he's not touched. It's blocked up very, very clean. I guess he gets clipped on the ankles there. He breaks this thing. And I will say, after the Strebler pick, this building was quiet, and to come out here, it has electrified this atmosphere. They got obviously a great home crowd, and it is on fire after that kick return. Huge play. You got to give the special teams coach a great nod to the cap of how he adjusted there.
Yeah, absolutely. You can feel the energy get zapped when Cam Judge hit the end zone, but immediately back into it here as the crowd, as the defense hits the turf, and this one complete to Demonte Coxey, but it's a good eye by Luke there because, yeah, that was total miscommunication on the opening kick. And he didn't even have Cooley have to get a block in order for Vavel to get into the end zone that time because it was set up so much better for the return touchdown.
Yeah, and you see in their design, obviously, Vavel is the guy they want to have returning the ball. Cooley is supposed to be in a position as a lead blocker. And obviously, when they get in the desired roles or the designated roles, the return worked a heck of a lot better.
Nick Arbuckle, the man until at least week 15. If Chad Kelly stays on the 6-game injured list, he's going to have plenty of challenging plays in front of him in this one. Here's 2nd and 1 as he'll turn around, hand it off to Mac Mahon, who puts his head down, runs into a wall. And did he get there? Great job by Kyle Wilson coming up alongside Jay Pearson as well.
Kyrie Wilson, one of the veteran leaders in this Bombers defense. Slides off his block to get in the face of Deontay McMahon. And we see James Waters getting in on that one as well, it appeared.
Vavel goes back once again, but a great stop by that Winnipeg front. Everybody flowing to the football, including Kyrie Wilson. And so Haggerty will have to send this one away once again from deep in his own end. Field position, not the friend of the Toronto Argonauts. Unable to sustain drives here in really great Friday night football conditions as Willie Jefferson got close to that one. Vavel will catch it at his own 40-yard line. Dances away from 2, spins down the sideline, and is pushed out of bounds. Based on the best-selling novel by John Grisham, The Rainmaker. New series starts Saturday, August 16th on USA Network. Stream next day on Crave. I know you've read all the Grisham novels, Dwayne. So,
I've seen some Grisham movies.
I've seen your library. It's full of Grisham. Just Grisham everywhere.
Yeah.
What else?
No, it's my mom's librarian. As Chris Strebler gets the call in here. Anthony Lanier with the big tip, leading to the Cameron Judge interception earlier on. Strebler with 3 options to his right will roll that direction, fades it over the top, and it is caught. Jared Stearns wrapped up and brought down by Darius Bratton. And highly complimentary was Mike O'Shea talking about Stearns and just how much of a pro he is this week on simple little plays, always doing the right thing on film, trying to help his teammates get open.
Yeah, it comes up with another big catch there. He had a nice game last week, as you mentioned. I want you to keep an eye here, though, on the fullback, number 25, Michael Chris Ike, as he's the guy who's got responsibility for taking care of the defensive end. Keeps Chatfield from getting upfield. This is what allows Strebler to get to the corner.
Nice block that time by Chris Ike on the edges. They go handoff. Nick Dembski's got speed around the edge. Cuts to the outside of the 40. Whit McManus finally shoves him out of bounds at the 30-yard line, but the all-purpose Swiss Army knife of Nick Dembski has a Bombers first down.
Yeah, Dembski always a part of the run game. Sometimes receiving the ball, sometimes as a blocker, but the guy who has demonstrated throughout his career he can do big things with the rock in his hands. You want to find as many creative ways as possible to get it to him. An outstanding kick returner before getting his chance to start at receiver at the U of Manitoba.
Stradler this time goes with a run up in between the tackles. Paul Lapalisse in studio last night for the Calgary-Ottawa game was saying he fully expected them to go with a little bit of called run. Jason Hogan, offensive coordinator, as Cameron Judge down, and looks like he's favoring something in his hand or wrist. Maybe he got jammed up there trying to make a play, so he takes a knee. But fully expect Chris Strevler to use his legs a little bit. But interesting, he's only got 5 non-sneak quarterback runs to Strevler so far this season, and averaging 4.4 yards per carry on those that are not sneaks. You know, you think about the big, powerful runs in the 2019 Grey Cup run, and it hasn't really, reared its ugly head if you're the defense on the other side as of yet, but you get a sense it's coming at some point.
Yeah, you feel like it, especially now, his second start of the season, a team looking for a little bit of momentum, and sometimes Strevler is a guy who running the football can deliver that. I truly believe that Chris is a guy who, as much as you don't want your quarterback taking hits, I feel like he's a guy who kind of thrives off a little bit of contact.
And we saw that in his first start of the season here at home against the BC Lions, where in the second half, struggling up and down the field to get into a rhythm. He took a couple of hits and started making some plays as Isaac Darkangelo checks in place of Cameron Judge. As Strevler under center goes hard count. And it looks like he caught Toronto, or is it procedure?
That was Anthony Lanier stepped across from the Toronto defense.
Underrated skill, pitching the voice on the hard count.
Yes.
Essential.
The fat boy moving his hand. Which one? Hey, it's 2025. It's not fat shaming. It's 2025, bro. What? Body positive. Not fat shaming. 2025.
Offside, Toronto, number 91. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Justin McInnes makes the call. They get Anthony Lanier. And as Wynton McManus was campaigning there, the Gabe Wallace left guard was actually the one that jumped. Well, McManus gets the defense set here as Strevler now stares down 1st and 10 inside the score zone for Winnipeg. Hands it off inside. Brady Oliveira gets a block from Strevler, who leads up through the hole.
As we take a look at this one in the work of the Winnipeg offensive line, watch the cutback from Oliveira, sells it, front side, gets the defense to start flowing a little bit before he bends this one back. But
Strevler now with a sprint to the right, puts his head down, and Strevler uses the legs, thundering into the end zone for the Bombers' touchdown. You wouldn't be able to tell by those last couple of plays and how dominant they were up front. Winnipeg had only 26 score zone plays coming into tonight. Toronto nearly double with 50. But as soon as they got inside the 20, Strevler smelt the end zone, puts his head down here for the major.
power football has been such a hallmark of the Bombers. Brady Oliveira leading the way. But Chris Strevler kind of decides he's going to be his own blocker, fighting his way through a couple of would-be tacklers into the end zone.
At least Brady got a hand on Chris to throw him into the end zone at some point. There he wasn't sure if he was supposed to be leading outside or not, but that is quintessential Strevler at home in front of the fans on a 3-game slide. He said they had to start figuring out ways to get into the end zone, put some points up. And at the end of the first quarter, that one will help big time. A 14-7 lead, 6 plays, 60 yards in a little over 2.5 minutes.
And you just saw the Bombers running the football a little bit there, whether it was Strevler, Oliveira, Dembski, all chipping in a little bit. For Winnipeg last week in Toronto, I felt that where the game got it away from them was the fact that they were forced to get away from the run game. They were chasing points. They couldn't, time-wise, with time as their enemy, couldn't really rely on the ground game. And it's unfortunate when you look at it. Brady Oliveira averaged over 6 yards a carry in the game. The run game was productive, but just that time score dynamic meant that they couldn't stick with the run game, the ground game.
I'm not sure there's a team in the CFL where you can confidently say at the end of a drive, oh, that felt like a Lions drive.
Yes.
That felt like a Riders drive. That right there felt like a Bombers touchdown drive.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that has built its identity around a certain style of play for a number of years, whether it was Paul LaPolice, Buck Pierce, or now Jason Hogan calling the plays. The MO has not changed.
Yeah, they almost went a full quarter, to your point last week, Dwayne, as the illegal kick out of bounds against Sergio Castillo will give Toronto good starting field position here. But they almost went a full quarter last week without giving it to Brady Oliveira from the middle of the first quarter towards the back end of the second. Because to your point, they were trailing. The weather was coming down, and they kind of got out of their rhythms.
Yeah, you think about it. You've got the reigning most outstanding player in your lineup, and you can't give him the ball. Yeah, nice execution. Look at Nick Dembski again at the point of attack blocking.
Amazing the variety of different pieces they have to be able to kick out on the edge and lead through the hole. Everybody getting their nose a little bit dirty, required to be a Winnipeg Blue Bomber as Toronto gets possession at their 50 after the illegal kick out of bounds. 4 receivers to the right of Arbuckle. Looks that way, comes back to the left, come back, round high and away, incomplete for Coxie, and a flag flies as well. Terrell Bonds on the coverage. And it looks like a holding call against the Argonauts. So Justin McInnes backs up Toronto, and the Argonauts trail headed to quarter number 2.
Holding Toronto.
Well, the Grey Cup rematch last week in the rain, a little lackluster, back and forth, a battle against the conditions. This one feels much more like what we expected originally, Dwayne, because big plays being made in all 3 phases of the game. And even without Zach Collaros, you do have Chris Streveler in the ball game, starting to make plays, starting to use his legs a little bit as well.
Yeah.
This one's got that feeling that it could be high scoring and entertaining throughout.
Yeah, it does. And from a Winnipeg point of view, you want to see that kind of response after 3 losses in a row, and particularly the game in Toronto last week. So playing the second game of a home and home. They have a tough start to this one, get the big play on special teams, but you know, I'm kind of excited to see where this game goes from a Winnipeg offensive perspective. As we mentioned, as we're seeing this variety in the, I don't even want to say how many heads we might see on the monster that is the Winnipeg run game in this football game, and seeing how the Argos are able to adapt to that.
I haven't said the name Kevin Mattal that much yet either. He was a big player in that ball game last week at home. 5 catches. As Nick Arbuckle looks outside, Demonte Coxie, really the savior of this Argonauts offense, breaking away from 2 tacklers. It takes 5 Bombers to get there before Coxie gives up ground. And on second and very long, after the setback at the end of the first quarter, it'll leave them with second and about 12 yards to go. But Demonte Coxie, one of the true standout players in the Canadian Football League, and really evolving as a player in 2025.
Yeah, his role seems to get a little bit bigger within this offense every season. Really standing out. You saw the number there, as Kate mentioned in the pregame, tied with Kenny Lawler for the most catches of 30-plus yards this season.
How about Kevin Mattal getting Demonte Coxie set there, making sure he's lined up correctly, as now down the middle of the field, it's up for grabs, and it's off the hands of Kevin Mattal, the rare deep shot down the pipe for a player that usually catches it in and around the line of scrimmage.
And here you'll see Mattal going deep, trying to time up that waggle to get a good burst. Talk about him as a big-bodied receiver. You saw him trying to box out Dietrich Nichols there, but the veteran, one of the best in the biz, Dietrich Nichols, able to make a play on the football.
Coming in, Mattal 5 of 6 on contested catches. That's second best in the CFL at 83%. Couldn't hang on to that one. There's a big battle down the middle of the field. This one drops over the head of Trey Vattel, kicks backwards. He picks it up. No flags down on the play. The Winnipeg offense being led by a couple of hometown heroes. Well, they don't typically wear capes. They don't fly over the city, but they are local and they are proud to rep the W. It says for the W all over this stadium, and these two are all about it.
Yeah, a couple of guys who went through Oak Park High School a few years apart. The alma mater of Andrew Harris as well, by the way. Nick Dembski, a great kick returner even before he became a great receiver at the University of Manitoba. There you see Brady Oliveira went just south of the border to the University of North Dakota for his college career. And the two of them have enjoyed great success here as teammates in their hometown.
Winnipeg looking to attend their 6th Grey Cup right here at home. Work to do before they can get there. Right now 3-3 on the season. As Strevler flips this one underneath. It is complete at the 9-yard line. And Jarrett Stearns rolls his way out towards the 15. So 5 yards after the catch that time. But Nick Dembski has been really special this season. As many touchdowns as Carrick Wheatfall, Jarrett Stearns, and Dalton Schoen combined in this offense so far.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that they rely on so much. Mr. Consistency. You know, among the league leaders, active leaders in terms of yardage, in terms of games, consecutive games with a catch. You know, but I often think as he's played with Andrew Harris and then Brady Oliveira here in Winnipeg, wouldn't it be kind of cool if two guys from the same team could get nominated for Most Outstanding Canadian?
It's an interesting idea,
I just feel like Nick Dembski gets overlooked repeatedly when he should at least be in the conversation.
A great downhill run that time by Brady Oliveira. As we talk about the two standout Canadians that should very much be able to be nominated side by side for major awards.
And as you said, a very typical Brady Oliveira run. North-south, lots of physicality in there, setting the Bombers up for a 3rd and short opportunity. Big one, just inside their own 20-yard line.
Terry Wilson checks into the ball game here, loaded front for Toronto, and once again Wilson looking so comfortable in that short yardage package. Is little wrestling at the bottom of the pile. Wynton McManus mixing it up with the backup quarterback, but Brady Oliveira obviously missing a couple of games earlier on this season. Only played 2 snaps before he got dinged at the start of the season. This week's 3 and 4, but he's averaging 20 targeted touches per game in weeks 5, 7, and 8 since he's been back through the air and on the ground.
Yeah, you got to anticipate as they look to kind of switch the momentum here, that putting the rock in the hands of number 20 as much as possible is going to be a big part of the offensive game plan.
It's not if, but when they're going to try and give it to him as much as possible. 20 targeted touches a game as they'll flip it underneath. Carrick Wheatfall, a little bit of speed, and a great defensive play on the edge. Tavares McFadden, not known for his physicality when he came in as a cover man from Florida State, but that time stepping up, shedding the block, and making a big play on the edge to hold Wheatfall to a little gain.
Yeah, McFadden out wide to the left side of your screen. You're seeing Wheatfall coming in motion right to left. Takes that little shovel pass. McFadden doing a good job fighting off the block of Joey Corcoran to make a play, as it looked like McFadden had, Wheatfall rather, had some room to roll on that one.
Shuts it down quickly, and it creates 2nd down and 6. Easy. Nice throw that time from Strevler in rhythm. Completes it to Wheatfall and moves the sticks. And plenty of discussion here on the sideline. Looks like they're sending in the heavy package with Tuiler.
And there you see Wheatfall out wide. Benji Franklin, the corner, giving him some space. He and Strevler just taking what they're given.
Benji Franklin watches on, trying to diagnose with Tyshawn Blackburn playing on the back end here with Derek Sluka out with an ankle injury this week. And Winnipeg goes right down the middle, and just like last week, Wynton McManus and Brady Oliveira meeting in the middle of that defense.
And two guys who come into a game against each other certainly knowing that they'll find themselves nose to nose on a regular basis. Here's a little look last week, Brady's first carry of the game. Wynton McManus there on the tackle. And you've got to love this little display of mutual respect as they've got a little smile and a tap for each other.
It's highly competitive. It's professional football. It's dog eat dog, but that looks like two kids playing at the park. They just appreciate how good the other one is. As Strevler steps up in the pocket, trying to get away, wrapped up and brought down. And once again, it's Aaron Casey in on that second down package, just kind of sifting his way through the traffic and getting a second sack of the night.
Very right edge of your screen. There's Casey on the hash mark. Sorry. Fights through the middle. Becoming a little bit of a specialist.
He's finding his way into the lineup. Maybe they've sensed through practice that he is great at that role of wait it out, let the play come to you, and bring down the quarterback as Janarian Grant returns this one across the 30. Out to the 35-yard line is the Winnipeg Blue Bombers' largest leads in their first 3 games. They were up 15, 13, 17, winless in the month of July. Trying to pick it up with this offense as Aaron Casey says no on Friday Night Football. Not necessarily the battle we thought we were getting in this one, but a back-and-forth matchup between Strevler and Nick Arbuckle. Britt Dort has more.
Well, Chris Strevler, you may remember, got this start for the first game of the year for the Bombers, and he actually joked with us this week that this is why the CFL, every team, you need 2 quarterbacks. And we're seeing that across the league right now in many different areas, including for the Toronto Argonauts, because when it comes to Arbuckle, we're going to see a little bit more of him as the news broke this week that Chad Kelly has officially been placed on the 6th game. Dinwiddie and the medical staff just pointing to the fact they don't feel safe about him right now. But the biggest thing from Arbuckle, guys, that I like that he said is he's kind of gotten rid of that placeholder mentality and really feels like he's gained some confidence and feels like he can be such a leader for this offense going forward.
Yeah, absolutely, as they're both building confidence, and who knows when Chad Kelly will be back. At this point, we don't know when Zach Collaros will be back, so these guys at the controls of their offense, and that time Arbuckle delivers to DeMonte Coxie, who just runs through the tackle attempt, bowls his way for a first down.
Yeah, and you touched on it earlier, Marsh, that DeMonte Coxie really is sort of the safety blanket, it seems, for Toronto Argonaut quarterbacks. He and Nick Arbuckle really starting to develop some chemistry together, and it's not just the deep balls as you're seeing them on the quick hitters as well.
Arbuckle looking to the lone receiver, tipped at the line of scrimmage, hands got up and knocked it away. They were trying to go back to Coxie, but 2 Bombers back there in coverage, taking him away.
Jay Person getting in on that defensive line rotation. They're doing a nice job getting the tackles hands off them. The second-year man, John Goss, out of the University of Calgary. He's in the lineup for an injured Ryan Hunter.
Arbuckle on second down. Pitches forward, looks over the top, pass is complete. First down, Dejon Brissett. Onto the stat sheet here as Kevin Batal runs downfield and gives a little help to Brissett, opening up down the field. 14 second down conversions last week and early in the second quarter. Dwayne, there was a touchdown drive. Toronto had 4 second down conversions of 10 yards or more that looked just like this.
Yeah, finding ways to get it done, the kind of plays that successful teams make. Nice combination of routes there. Seems to create a little bit of confusion on the back end. Nick Arbuckle sorts it out, finding Dejon Brissett.
Arbuckle fakes the run to Mac Mahon, flips it out. Dave Unger III into the flats. A nice play that time, flying up is Jamal Parker from the outside to bring down Dave Unger, who gets himself involved in the action here as Toronto mixing and matching as many different pieces as they possibly can to chip their way down the field. They're left with second down and about 6.
Yeah, finding that balance offensively. You mentioned Jamal Parker in on the tackle. Had been the starting free safety, taking over there from Brandon Alexander, but in the shuffle, he moves to corner in place of Marquise Bridges, the wide side.
That comes up to Arbuckle. Looks over the middle, and this went off the hands of Kevin Mittal. Can honestly say that might be the first time this season that we've seen that coming into the game. 42 catches on 47 targets.
And Mittal, the inside receiver in this trips formation. Sensing the defender coming downhill on him, may have glanced away a little too quickly, trying to get his head around and turn the corner with Michael Griffin in pursuit. They have very high catch percentage from the second-year man out of Laval, former Heck Crichton Trophy winner.
Jeremiah Law, who comes out to attempt the field goal. Got 3 makes of 50-plus yards already this season, tied for first in the CFL. As this one, smooth as ever for Hairolahu, as Winnipeg hasn't played a game decided by less than 9 points all season so far. Got a feeling that's changing here tonight on Friday Night Football. Don't miss the Lions against the Tiger Cats this Thursday, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, as NBA champion and MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is honored in front of the hometown crowd. Celebrate Canadian sports history on TSN. How great is that? Early in the day, they're doing a rally. Get to go down, hang out, be able to see Shai and everything, and then he's coming back and joining the football game. I mean, he was at Tiger Cats games before he was ever an MVP. Now he is.
I was going to say, one of the things I love about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is, with all the success he's had, he remembers where he came from.
Absolutely, yeah. The best athletes always do, as we talk about the hometown heroes of Brady Oliveira and Nick Dembski, and Brady gets the carry, churning the legs off that left-hand side that time, following Eric Lofton, who's into the lineup here, coming back from a knee injury, makes his season debut with a couple of other injuries on that left side. Stanley Bryant still out. Vanterpool, that was in last week, out with an ankle as well. And it's 2nd down and 5.
Gaining a little experience alongside second-year man Gabe Wallace on that left side with Lofton's return.
They'll go back to the ground game here. Oliveira lowers the pad level. Runs directly into Aaron Casey, who's got himself a 2-sack night already, but Brady fired up playing here at home. Badly wants to end this 3-game losing skid.
Well, here you'll see Aaron Casey with a couple of sacks, had one last week as well, demonstrating that he is not a one-trick pony in the pass rush game. Getting after it on 2nd downs, but he'll defend the run for you as well. Doing a nice job there.
Oliveira, 13 carries, 82 yards last week against Toronto. As he gets another touch here, and this time he's turned around quickly. With McManus always scratching at the football, trying to get it out. Casey, you see there at the bottom of the pile as well, as Anthony Lanier there with this place, a couple of banjo bowls when he was playing over in Saskatchewan. Making plays comfortably here at Princess Auto.
Lanier, an interesting guy, can play a little bit inside, off the edge as well, so adding versatility to a Toronto Argonaut defensive line that was pillaged during free agency.
Just striking me as we're watching Lanier and talking defensive lineman. Lorenzo Molden, first sack of the season last night, has a hard count. And Strevler, when flags come up, has a free play, throws this one into traffic, incomplete, and more flags come out from behind as Darius Bratton was all over the back of Nick Dembski. Jared Stearns in that play as well. But Aaron Casey with 2 sacks tonight, as Lorenzo Malden gets his first last night. Willie J's got 1 on the season. James Vaughters had 1. It's mixing and matching as the pass rushes get flowing here in 2025,
there
week
2 fouls
9.
on the previous play. Offside, Toronto number 94. Penalty is declined. Pass interference, Toronto number 9. Spot of the foul, automatic first down.
The first one goes against Andrew Chatfield Jr. And they'll decline that. Darius Bratton on the other end as well, as we get the 3-minute warning and a back and forth. First half of action between the Bombers and the Argonauts.
Halftime coming up, and the panel has decided to just be Milt Stegall. So I'll be talking about everything halftime. The kickoff return, the defense, and I'll even break down the play. Milt Stegall, and not the rest of the
See what happens when Pinball wears your jersey?
That's it. That's it.
Great.
I got to borrow a Milt jersey from somebody in the stands here. It's the Milt panel coming up at halftime. Looking forward to that. As Chris Strevler and the Bombers offense go back to work, as no gain this time.
All the way across the formation. Go
Throwing it back, Jamin Pelly makes the stop that time. A pregame, hey, there's a nice little throwback.
Yeah, you got to love that display from Pinball. When in Rome.
knows how to set the tone correctly for a night here in Winnipeg for his team. Mutual respect between these two franchises, but highly competitive, as you can tell from Jamin Pelly. Tossing Brady Oliveira backwards on that one. No gain on the play. 2nd and 10 for Strevler, and it's a quarterback draw. And Brady Oliveira gets a body up the middle, but can't get up to the 35-yard line. And so now a bit of a decision as Cameron Judge stands in the middle and says hello to Chris Strevler, who we intercepted earlier for a touchdown.
Just having a little chat, maybe reminding him about the earlier play.
Really does strike you when we have that great shot from our crew here, Dwayne, was you make a block and it looks like, hey, everything's open. And, oh, it closes quick in pro football, doesn't it?
Sure does.
As Mike O'Shea sends out the kicking unit. Jamison Sheehan, the holder. Sergio Castillo missing from 45 earlier on. Tough night for the kickers last night. Rennie Paredes in the kicking operation in Calgary in tough against the wind. And this one smooth through the uprights as the Bombers add on to their advantage inside 3 minutes remaining here in the first half. Injuries at tackle for the Argonauts in his 3rd career start. There's John Boss. Luke Wilson has more.
Yeah, Marshall, you said it. You know, you lose Ryan Hunter. It's obviously a big loss. He's a great player for this team. And right now it's been a bit of a tough sledding for John Boss. I mean, look early here. He gets physically beat here, and that's going to happen in games. Again, he's a young guy coming out of Calgary, and you just lose a one-on-one rep. It is what it is. But then what scares you a little bit if you're a coach is these next couple here, there almost looks like there's some indecision. Hey, where am I supposed to be? We end up with a free hitter, get a hit on the quarterback. And same thing here. I don't think he's physically getting beat here. Just more of the mental game. Things are going a little fast. He's not sure which guy to go to. So you're going to see the Argos adjust. They've already put on one play, a big extra lineman to help him. He's gotten some chip help from Matal. That's a matchup I'm really interested in the rest of the game.
As the ball pops out, and it's on the ground, picked up by Person. Touchdown Bombers. Every time we talk to Luke Wilson, a defensive touchdown gets scored.
You know what, guys? I'm buzzing some film. You got your cues in. I think it's one of those things that you put me on here, defensive touchdowns happen.
The pass rush got home. That time it wasn't John Boss, but we'll get a look at it here, Dwayne, regardless. Winnipeg looking for a victory at home after 3 straight losses, and they're in the end zone again here at the end of the first half.
Yeah, Bombers defense did a good job last week getting after Nick Arbuckle, supplying pressure. That time it's Willie Jefferson, just his 2nd sack of the season, but it proves to be a huge one as he pops the ball loose. Jay Person with the scoop and score.
Castillo, after hammering the extra point, celebrates with Jamison Sheehan, and Nick Arbuckle spent a lot of time on the sideline before that snap came up. And on the very first touch of the football, he only had the ball in his hands for about 2.5 seconds before Willie J burst through and forced the fumble.
Well, you knew Willie was due for a big play. He's coming from the right side of your screen. Working against another 2nd-year man, but in his 1st year making starts. Left tackle George Moore, he gets beaten to the inside by Jefferson. Jay Person's coming off the other side. He's working against John Boss.
The legal formation against Toronto. 7 players on one side of the line. That penalty is declined. The convert is good.
Person fighting his way around to get to that loose football. And he's off to the races. So last week it was James Vaughters playing opposite Willie Jefferson with the fumble recovery touchdown. This week, Jay Person, the other end in that D-line rotation for the Bombers.
Seems profitable to be opposite Willie J.
Well, you know, for years it was whoever played opposite Charleston Hughes.
Happy birthday, Holly, baby, I love you.
Willie with the assist.
28-yard fumble return. Also strikes me that conversation we had with Willie J last week, he told us a couple of things. One, I want to leave a legacy that's hard to track down. He said, a combination of things, sacks, knockdowns, well, I had forced fumbles, obviously, to the list. And the other one is, he said, teams know I want to win inside. So I've really had to refine my outside pass rush, my quickness, my hands to get off the block. It helps if you can just dive to the inside like that. Use your quick. I mean, that's what he wants to do, is set you up like you're terrified outside and then rip underneath.
Yeah, that combination, right? The speed to power type moves. A big focus of his offseason training.
So a 24-10 advantage for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as Janarian Grant turns the legs all the way out to the 40. And for a Winnipeg Blue Bombers team that did not win a game in the month of July, as we're sitting here on August 1st, this certainly helps when Willie J is making game-changing plays.
Yeah, the ability of this Winnipeg front. Applying that pressure with a four-man rush. See the frustration from Argos head coach Ryan Dinwiddie.
3 losses of double digits in their last 3 games. 21 points, and 14 points against the Toronto Argonauts last week. And now they lead by 14 over Toronto as DeJon Brissett wrapped up and thrown down. Michael Griffin in the open field, not letting 18 get away.
Yeah, nice job by Griffin. I thought it was a terrific pickup for Winnipeg last season. Griffin started his career with the Calgary Stampeders. Guy who supplies some versatility, good special teams player as well. Good depth, but it's one of those guys that can play in a number of different packages for you within your defense. Your coordinator, Jordan Younger.
9 straight sellouts here at Princess Auto Stadium despite the 3-game skid. And the crowd into it on 2nd down and 11 at the end of the first half with a 14-point lead. That's complete. DeMonte Coxey has it, but Terrell Bonds won't let him get near the first down marker. And Toronto will send out John Haggerty in the punting unit.
As you see some different looks from the Winnipeg defensive front, you'll notice James Vaughters and Willie Jefferson. They get both of their starting defensive ends lined up on the same side, moving around a little bit. Vaughters will rush. You'll see Willie loop to the inside here. Almost finding his way home, but looking to create some confusion for that young offensive line. I had a chat with the Argos O-line coach, Chris Sweet, prior to the game tonight, and he talked about all these young guys, great young men doing a terrific job. They're all eager to learn, but a lot of teaching going on in that O-line meeting room right now.
Willie Jefferson right in the middle of that rush on the punt. Can't get home, so it drops down to Trey Vavel with a kickoff return earlier in this ball game. He gets to the outside, makes 2-man miss, makes Aaron Casey miss on the corner, turns on the Jets, cuts it back at the 50, and can he go? Trey Vavel, say no more! A double dip of return touchdowns.
Well, your starting quarterback is out of the lineup. How big a lift is it when your offense gets a boost in the form of 2 special teams touchdowns and a defensive touchdown in the first half of a ball game? Trey Vavel absolutely feeling it here in the opening 30 minutes in Winnipeg.
On fire. And Mike Miller, special teams coordinator, must be smiling from ear to ear as steam comes out the ears of Ryan Dinwiddie, trying to figure out how his team is down 21 points out of nowhere, and that nowhere is special teams and defense.
Yes, sir. You know, people think it's such a cliche when you say there are 3 phases to the game, but the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are demonstrating it here tonight.
Isaac D'Arcangelo just watched a Trey Vavel jump cut right in front of him to get free. What's great about that return is obviously the moves. Then he senses, okay, I've got the edge. I got to hit the Jets to outrun everybody on the angle here after the jump cut, right? And as soon as he hits the Jets, there's nobody left.
Away he goes.
They have been longing for celebratory smoke from the fireworks to hang here in Winnipeg for a while, and Trey Vavel making that a reality right now. 50 seconds left in a first half that for the Argonauts must feel like it cannot end. As Janarian Grant trying to answer, gets a little bit of breathing room, and it's brought down at the 35-yard line.
My memory and money lost this river that I'm in. New Orleans is sinking, man, and I don't wanna swim.
Ray Vavel, 2 touchdown returns, 93-yard kick return, 96-yard punt return. Derek Sluka not in the lineup tonight. The Toronto Argonauts had those missed field goal return and the fumble return touchdown earlier this season on the road at Ottawa. Vavel doing it here at home in his own unique way on special teams. As Arbuckle looks to throw pressure on this one, tipped at the line, and mercifully hits the turf, incomplete.
And you're seeing a lot of conversation happening amongst the Argos offensive line. Watch the right side of your screen. And again, John Boss is frustrated because he's got 2 rushers coming. His guard blocked down. That's Anthony Van Daal. They essentially ended up with a double team on the center, and Boss is trying to guess which guy to take.
Clean pocket this time. Demonte Coxey's free. On the money! Coxey runs free, cuts back, looking for a block, and Terrell Bonds finally gets there as Toronto's in business, but they have to operate quickly. 26 seconds remaining. They missed the home run shot a couple weeks back down this left sideline at the end of the first half. They went right back to it, and this time it connects.
Watch Demonte Coxey, bottom of your screen, with his 9th catch of 30-plus yards this season. Nick Arbuckle just loads it up and chucks it, putting his faith in Coxey.
Quick ball this time. Ayala makes the catch, brought down around the 10-yard line as they'll whistle this one dead. And it'll be a gain of 6, 2nd and 4. 15 seconds remaining as Coxey hits the home run. Would have loved to have finished off the half with a touchdown here, but still searching for it on the other end.
Yeah, and credit the Toronto Argonauts, their offensive line that's been under siege here. Holds up for that deep ball play.
Arbuckle just gets rid of this one. Smart to do so. Was it behind the original line of scrimmage, though, or was there an intended receiver? As the field goal unit ready to come off the sideline for Toronto. On 3rd and 3 now, they won't risk it. They'll try and take the points to get some momentum going into the second half.
Yeah, when you're Toronto, you want to make sure you come out of this with something.
The ball behind the original line of scrimmage. Didn't get back to the line, not outside the pocket. Expect intentional grounding. Yep.
Toronto, number 4. Spot of the foul, 3rd down.
Yeah, line of scrimmage is the 10. You see that one bounce at about the 12. And as much as you would have loved to have had a last drive touchdown here, trailing by 3 touchdowns, very important that the Argonauts come away from this opportunity with points as they send out Liram Hairolahu in the field goal unit.
Got the sense their best chance to put some points up on the board in the form of a touchdown was Coxey finishing off that explosive play. And once he couldn't, kind of thrown up into the air that time, and with 4 seconds left on the clock, Arbuckle looks it over as Kate, Enoch, Dave, and Milt back on the panel coming up at halftime here on Friday Night Football. Break it all down for you. The Toronto Argonauts, an uphill climb unquestionably in front of them, but Demonte Coxey, the explosive ability, he can get you back into a game real quick.
And it looked like Coxey very nearly broke that one, just got knocked off balance by one of the pursuing Winnipeg Blue Bomber defenders, and it was enough to disrupt his path to the end zone.
Chris Streveler more than happy to round out the first half here. Lets the clock strike 0 and takes a knee. As big play after big play for Trey Vavel here. The defense playing its role, obviously, but it's all about 23 making magic into the end zone for Winnipeg.
Yeah, and you remember the importance of this first play. It was a kickoff return that came immediately after a Cameron Judge pick 6 put the Toronto Argonauts on the board in this game. Trey Vavel answers the bell and puts an exclamation point on his first half, following up that kickoff return touchdown with a punt return touchdown in the second quarter. And Trey Vavel now joins our Britt Dort on the sideline.
Trey, I don't know if you could have asked for a better start to this game for yourself. How does it feel to find the end zone not once but twice?
It's a blessing. Me and my team, we knew it was going to hit something sooner or later. We just had to keep faith in each other week to week. And I kept faith in God, you know. Like I said, me and my teammates, we all knew it was going to happen sooner or later. So.
What are you noticing from Toronto out there that is making you so efficient on these returns?
I'm not really paying attention to them, man. I'm just watching the guys kicking the ball and just believing my blockers and believing in God, man. My blockers are the ones that are getting me there. It's just all about us, all about Winnipeg. I'm not worried about anybody in front of me.
Thanks so much, Trey.
Thank you so much.
All right, Kate, we'll send it off to you guys in Toronto.
Well, for the story of the first half, it was Trey Vavel back alongside Enoch Mwamba, Dave Naylor, Milt Stiegel. If he gets one more touchdown in this game, Dave Naylor has promised he will put one of his tattoos on his arm. Isn't that the truth, Dave?
Absolutely.
Will you do it? Come on, Vavel, do it for us.
On his face, he said. Come on, Trey!
Come on now.
But honestly, this whole first half was absolute chaos. I mean, that was entertainment to the nines as well. I mean, 2 special teams TDs, 1 touchdown on defense as well for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But I mean, just the big plays in that first half were tremendous.
Well, you know, these are the teams came into the game the 2 fewest offensive touchdowns in the league. So you say, okay, we may not see that many players in the end zone, but they're doing it on special teams. They're doing it on defense, and particularly with the Bombers. You know, Trey Vavel returns this ball right after the Argos get a recovery or pick 6 and go up 7-0 and silence the crowd. And he basically goes through this untouched. Now, this is a big part. When your offense is struggling, you've got a backup quarterback in the game. You need your defense to step up and maybe get you a score. Milt's going to talk about that in a second. And then, of course, the punt return here where he does it again, finds the sidelines and goes. This rookie who was in camp last year with the Atlanta Falcons. I feel like Winnipeg is stealing a page out of what the Argos did last year in the first half of the season when Chad Kelly was out. Nick Arbuckle was playing quarterback, wasn't playing that well, but every game it seemed like they got a touchdown on teams, they got a touchdown on defense, and the Bombers have upped that with 3 non-offensive touchdowns in this first half.
Call them knots, non-offensive touchdowns.
There we go.
And as you mentioned, these teams haven't scored too much offensively, and this is just what the Winnipeg Blue Bombers need. They know they've been struggling offensively, but now they're getting some plays from the other facets of the game, special teams, and a player who I put some pressure on at the beginning of this game, Willie Jefferson. He stepped up. This is one of the best players defensively over the last decade, and he came in his first half and made a play. I said he didn't always have to get a sack. You always get a knockdown. Just make an impact. He calls his fumble. Person picks it up, scores a touchdown. Now this team has some momentum. Now they can come out of this halftime thinking, now we can get back on track. One of their best players, one of their leaders, maybe the leader of that team, makes a play. Those other guys see that, and they're going to feed off of that, Enoch.
And, Milt, listen, this defense in Toronto Argonauts, they're throwing a lot of different looks at this offense.
You can talk and walk. I like that.
But they're throwing a lot of different looks at what the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have done as well. They showed different things. So when you look at the touchdown drive that they had when they scored a touchdown, a lot of different things happened here. Nick Dempsey got the ball in the perimeter, and he got a run, and he got a bunch of yardage as well. Then afterwards, you see Brady Oliveira. Where's he been all season? He gets it. But look at Strevel right there. He goes and he blocks for him. How many quarterbacks do you know in this league? The answer is none. No one else will ever do this. What's wrong with this picture? 3 tackles to the left of the center, and this is Brady Oliveira. This is not a center at all, a tackle at all. And you see there's not enough Toronto Argonauts on the right side of the ball, of the field. And so Streveler gets it and goes to the right side. And when he gets it, for any other quarterback, yes, it's going to be a big play or a first down. No, for Streveler, it's a touchdown.
You don't think any other quarterbacks would block in the league right now? MBT, Cody?
They won't do as great a job as Streveler did.
That's a business decision.
And he wants to do it. That's the thing.
That's because, Milt, you never blocked once.
I did.
No, you didn't. Come on.
I did.
We've been bumping your tires all night. You never
I blocked all it. Well, Enoch up with it. Well, I tell you, boy.
Milt.
Come on.
You know what?
You wouldn't have made the tackle, Enoch. I would have held you.
I am so glad Dave Naylor's in between the two of you tonight. We got ourselves a football game, 31-13. Calm down.
That's how I block, too, just like this.
Welcome to the Grey Cup rematch. So nice, we had to do it twice. It's intercepted. Cam Judge had a pick last week. He's got another now. Touchdown, Argonauts. Turns on the Jets. Gamble. 10-5 touchdown. Strebler now with a sprint to the right. Puts his head down. Thundering into the end zone.
You guys are on a 5-game win streak. You're atop the league in passing. Is this the best football you've ever played?
Yeah, I think so.
Mitchell steps up, takes off, no, passes it to Smith. And a touchdown for the Ticats. Deep shot for Brendan O'Leary Orange. He is not robbed this time. Mitchell to throw. Wide open. Keandre Smith has it. The Ticats have come back from 10 down in the fourth quarter to take the lead.
The Bo and Kenny show is back on Saturday as the Tiger Cats travel to Edmonton to take on the Elks. You can see that one, 3 Eastern, noon Pacific, TSN and CTV. And then we got about an hour break, but that's okay. You can have dinner and then come back and watch more football. The Saskatchewan Roughriders are playing the Montreal Alouettes, a heavyweight matchup between two of the top teams in the East and the West. And it's time to stay true to our colors now and talk about a quarterback that plays for Saskatchewan, Trevor Harris, at 39 years young. He has been sensational, the most efficient QB in the league right now. Dave, we expect him to slow down, or really crossing your fingers that he isn't injured at one point, but man, he has been good to start the season.
You know, I'm reflecting on a conversation I had with Trevor Harris back in April when he told me he thought this season might be his best, and he was careful in how he said. He said, I'm not saying I'll be better than I've ever been. I'm just saying with the communication I have with offensive coordinator Mark Mueller and the talent we have around that we're assembling, I think I can have my best season of my career, which is a lot bold thing for a quarterback to say at 39 years of age. Yes. But here's what Trevor Harris is doing. 7 consecutive games of at least 70% completion percentage. Now, I asked CFL stats guru this week, Steve Daniel, I said, is that a record? He said, there's no such record, but I can guarantee you no CFL quarterback has ever done that. So he's in some uncharted territory.
39 years old, that's the thing that's amazing. Let's be honest, I don't care how much you work out, how well you take care of your body, you're eventually going to break down. Believe me, I know. But the fact that he's playing his best football of his career at 39 years old, that's amazing. Let's hope he can keep it up because it's good when our quarterbacks are playing well. And he's playing some great football right now.
And it's amazing because he has so many pieces around him. It just seems like this is the story for this team this year. You got the good running back. You got the offensive line that's playing well and everybody around. You got a lot of guys, or receivers on this team. A lot of them haven't been there and haven't succeeded really in the past. But you have to be super happy when you step on the field and Trevor Harris is your quarterback. He's going to make a name for yourself.
I can't wait for these 2 games tomorrow, but we do have a game to wrap up in Winnipeg. 31-13 for the home team Bombers. Will Dave Naylor finally get a tattoo? If Vavel scores one more TD, we're about to find out.
There we go.
Do it.
He's going to get it in his ball head. That's where you get it, huh?
Or rhythm, make them sweat, that's what I'm giving them now. They know, you talk about the hammer, you're talking about a show that's hot and tight. Singles are slick, so fast, I'm a whiteboard tape. To learn what's it gonna take in the 90s to burn the charts. Legit, either work hard or you might as well quit. That's word, because you know you can't touch this. You can't touch this.
Trey Vavel and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers feeling untouchable at the end of that first half here on Friday night. Football is an absolutely gorgeous night in Manitoba with the Bombers controlling the pace of play right now. Cameron Judge and the Argonauts defense trying to dig their way back in. He's with Britt Dorff.
Well, Cameron, what was the biggest message at the half to try to get some momentum back on your side?
The biggest message, I mean, we just got to lock in, do our job, and make tackles when we're in position to, you know. We've let up a lot of big plays, and we're just trying to limit that this second half and make some plays of our own.
Well, in back-to-back weeks, you have recorded a pick against this team, so how can you try to use that to your advantage in the second half?
I mean, I'm going to just keep playing my game, do my job, and if the ball comes my way, I'm going to try to make a play on it just like I did when Anthony tipped it right to me. So, you know, just being in the right spot and doing my job, and we'll see what happens.
Thanks, Cameron.
All right, thank you.
See if the Argonauts can dig their way back in as Janarian Grant gets us going here in the second half. And makes his way out to the 35-yard line. Once again, the battle between these two teams to try and not be trailing at half. A combined 0-7 between the two of them when they have been trailing at this point. But Toronto up tough as Nick Arbuckle completing 10 of 15 passes in that first half. Not a lot of highlight reel plays outside of the monster 58-yard catch by DeMonte Coates at the end of the first.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if they're able to dial up the deep ball with any regularity here in the second half. Luke talked about the struggles that they had in terms of pass protection. You need that O-line to hold up to throw the deep balls, and the deeper we get into this game, the more Winnipeg pins their ears back.
What will the strategy be here for the Argonauts? They'll begin through the air. Mayala on the outside. Easy completion, gain of 18. And that's a good way to start if you are on that Argonauts sideline. Get a little bit of positive momentum downhill as the rarely used Herdy Mayala gets a touch.
Yeah, Mayala with his first 2 catches of the season in this game. Veteran receiver, former first-round pick of the Calgary Stampeders. Also spent some time in Montreal and Hamilton, rather.
Interesting journey around the Canadian Football League for the former first-rounder as he gets his chin strap reset to go on 1st and 10. Just on the Argonauts side of the field. Arbuckle outside, goes back to Mayala, incomplete. Off the hands as Evan Holm was there in coverage. Holm, who said after that loss to Toronto at BMO Field last week, he felt like he missed more tackles than he's ever missed in a football game before. Just the difficult conditions, the tough turf, and slippery Argonauts running all over the place.
Yeah, of course, a natural grass field at BMO Stadium in Toronto, so something that takes a little bit of getting used to for players in this era of field turf.
Something the Argonauts were so good at last week, those second down conversions, 14 of them. Arbuckle looking for one big one here as Dejon Brissett catches it, thinks about cutting back, and now he does, leans forward, and he does get the conversion.
Yeah, nice timing on this play as Brissett has a little bit of a delay out on the left side as he's going to let the 2 deeper routes clear before he breaks out to the flat. Bit of room to work. Boyd's getting cleanly tackled, just enough yardage to move those sticks.
Bit of a bend but don't break feel from the Blue Bombers defense here early on with a 31-13 advantage. Arbuckle pressure on, goes into the blitz. Tavares Daniels brought down by Dietrich Nichols. Asked him this week about the difficulties, the frustration of playing boundary halfback. He said, you're always hot. You never get a play off. There's nowhere else I'd rather play because he loves plays like this.
Yeah, he said it's not for everybody. It takes guys who are wired a certain way, but he happens to be one of those guys.
2-time All-CFLer. As now the running game plunging its way forward on 2nd and 2. Peter Nicastro, big man in the middle, helping Deontay McMahon as Tavares Daniels continues to pluck his way through secondaries around the Canadian Football League in his 9th year at Notre Dame.
Broke into the league with Calgary. A brief stop in Edmonton before becoming a fixture in this Argos offense.
He and DeMonte Coates to the left side of Arbuckle. They go back to Daniels. And another completion on 1st down here. As you start stacking up some of the best tandem receivers in the Canadian Football League. There's a lot of good ones. Tim White, of course, and Kenny Lawler. We'll see them on Labor Day in the matchup with the Toronto Argonauts. But Tavares Daniels and DeMonte Coates starting to make an argument for themselves when they are on the same page as Nick Arbuckle. And a promising drive here to open up the second half for the Argos. Pressure on in coverage, and this one is complete. Dejon Brissett hangs on to it as Parker came downfield and in some discomfort.
You're going to see Parker's on his way to make this hit as the ball is in the air. Pretty quick collision after the ball is caught.
Arbuckle did well to get that one away with pressure right in his face. Griffin flying downhill.
And maybe could have been a little bit of friendly fire. So I believe it was the safety, Cramdy, who was coming downhill on that one. May have clipped the leg. Here you'll see. Watch for his teammate coming into the picture.
Yeah, good call, Dwayne. I think that was a bang-bang play on that right side of the leg. So they'll take a look at Jamal Parker. We will step aside and return to Winnipeg as the Bombers continue to lead. The FedEx St. Jude Championship is right around the corner. Catch the first round on Thursday at 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. Pacific on TSN Plus. As Jamal Parker up onto his feet, walking off right now, as you see there onto the sideline. Looks like some changes on the back end for that Blue Bombers defense, right?
Yeah, shuffling the deck a little bit. So we're going to see Trey Vavel now at the field corner spot for Parker.
Arbuckle looks down the field, steps away from Willie Jefferson, dumps it off to Monte Coxie, race to the end zone, touchdown Argos! And momentum to get things going here early in Q3.
Yeah, an efficient drive right out of the gate from Nick Arbuckle and the Toronto Argonauts offense. It seemed like as many struggles as the offensive line had in the first half. A couple plays where they looked fairly seamless in terms of picking up the blitz, getting things blocked up, allowing Nick Arbuckle some time to do his thing. Arbuckle buying himself time on that one, waiting for Coxie to work his way across the field.
James Waters down on the field getting some attention from the Winnipeg training staff as Coxie celebrates. What strikes me about that one is when we talked to Ryan Dinwiddie about Nick Arbuckle, he says his arm strength might be better than it was. He might be a better athlete than people give him credit for. Super small play. But I don't think people don't realize how hard it is to just shuffle up the pocket away from Willie Jefferson. How far you actually have to shovel up the pocket to get away, and then it looks like an easy throw, but man, that is tough.
Yeah, that range and reach of Willie Jefferson, then just putting the right touch on the ball to find DeMonte Coxie.
Arbuckle chased it all the way. He knew Coxie was hot, running towards the end zone. That's another standout play for Coxie, who's been a lifeline this season for the Toronto Argonauts. The 5th touchdown of the year for DeMonte Coxie is Nick Arbuckle in the lineup with Chad Kelly on the 6-game injured list, and they'll take plenty of this on the road if they want to climb their way back in Week 9 Friday Night Football. For over 20 years, along with the CFL and its member clubs, the Purelator Tackle Hunger Program has delivered over 25 million pounds of food to families in need. You can go to purelatortacklehunger.ca to donate. Tremendous effort here at Princess Auto Stadium on the way in. Grey Cup in attendance as well. Plenty of happy fans and people making great efforts to support their local communities. As tonight here in Winnipeg, and a couple more dates coming up. Of course, Labor Day in Hamilton. That is a staple of Tackle Hunger's efforts, and in Calgary as well, coming up in just a couple of weeks as the Toronto Argonauts drive down the field and get a touchdown from DeMonte Coxie. Now it's up to the defense to get the football back, as this is a moonshot. They'll hang it up high, trying to avoid Trey Vavel maybe, as this one drops down into the waiting arms of Shane Gauthier. And the linebacker not expecting to return that one, but Chris Strevler enters the second half, coming in off of this first half performance, which Cameron Judge began with a massive splash play. And after that, the Argonauts defense in tough.
Yeah, rocky start in the early going, but Strevler seemed to respond well. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have that multi-pronged running attack going, which goes a long way in terms of putting Chris Strevler in a position to succeed.
Flip it out to the flats here is Nick Dembski, who does extend his 77-game catch streak to 78. He saved it last week in the rain. He had just one, but he kept the streak going, and he is here back at home tonight, a local hero. And the veteran for the Bombers, when we asked Zach Collaros about who's the player that you really don't have to talk to all that much to keep him calm, he just said Stanley Bryant, Nick Dembski. That's it. As you see, Kevin Iben and Jason Shivers calling things in for this Toronto Argonauts defense. Chris Kolonkowski, the center, identifying that front that Iben and Shivers just signaled in. 5 receivers for Strevler here on second down. Pressure's on, walks his way right into it. And they'll blow it dead before he hits the turf, but down he goes regardless as Andrew Chatfield Jr. adds to his illustrious 2025 campaign.
Yeah, we mentioned Chatfield, right side of that defensive line. He's been getting the pressures, but after the first 4 games, he had 5 sacks in his first 4 games, leading the Canadian Football League. Held without a sack for his last 3, but ends the skid here tonight.
So Winnipeg set to kick this one away. As Jamison Sheehan looks off to his right. That one comes a little bit off the side of the foot as Janarian Grant will catch it on the run. He puts on the full speed across midfield and pushed out of bounds, but a great play as we go down to Luke Wilson. Luke?
You know, Marshall, I'm coming out here and I'm watching the Bombers and their defensive strategy here, and I just don't quite get it. You look at the first half, they had a ton of success against the Argos, and they're beating up this offensive line. And I know you get the big lead, but look at this drive. Super soft zone, and the ball's coming out quick. So the matchup of the Argos O-line that you're winning doesn't really matter because, again, quick, short underneath throw, wide open. It's too easy. And this is cover 0, so I get what happened here. And, again, there's 3 rushers on this one, the touchdown. That means there's 9 zone defenders, and we've got a guy this wide open who basically high steps in the end zone. Make the Argos earn it. That would be my thought process, and I think they're going to play a little tighter on this drive.
Good call, Luke. It was soft. We'll see what they do on this drive. Is this one complete? Mayala making another difficult grab, contested. But number 1 holds on as Jordan Younger and the Winnipeg defense trying to shore things up with 8 minutes and change remaining here in the third quarter.
Yeah, Argos quickly grabbing the momentum here out of the gate, as Luke mentioned, maybe taking advantage of some of the things that Winnipeg is doing defensively, but that time, not just a contested catch, but a contested throw as Nick Arbuckle had a defender right on him as he delivered that one. Mayala coming up with a big grab.
Argonauts coming into tonight here on Friday Night Football. Started 10 drives in opponent's territory. 2 touchdowns on those drives. Arbuckle looks outside, timing throw, and dug off the ground. DeVaris Daniels in front of Bonds. And that will be hauled in. First down, Toronto once again.
Well, DeVaris Daniels came into tonight's game with just 18 catches on the season. But you notice as the Argos try to fight their way back into this one, it's a reliable veteran kind of leading the charge here as they come out to start this third quarter.
Arbuckle coming in tonight in the score zone inside the 20-yard line, 20 of 26 for 165 yards, 9 touchdowns, no interceptions. Pressure on, fades to his right, throws it up, jump ball, Coxie, and he doesn't hold on, but the flags rain down.
Yeah, no doubter on that one as Terrell Bonds was scrambling, trying to catch up as Coxie was in behind him. Watch right side of your screen. Double move. You see the little out stem here. Gets the defender to break down, and then he's in behind.
And Luke Wilson's got to be loving that route. Saw that he highlighted some of Devontae Coxie in the pregame. Setting things up. The pass interference puts the football at the 1-yard line. Arbuckle stands in the gun for now. Deontay McMahon in behind him. Snap is up, handed off. McMahon cut back, runs right into a pile of blue and gold, and the gold helmets win that battle. Retta Cramdy downhill from free safety.
A big stop. Argos looks like they're going back to base offense.
They'll take out Darius Sirocco. Deontay McMahon goes to the sideline. Leyburn is in the football game right now. So Leyburn, the running threat from the one, and he connects legs and clips with Nick Arbuckle. Regardless, I don't think Leyburn was going to get in anyways. 3rd and goal, trailing by 11 midway through the 3rd, and they'll send out the field goal unit.
Yeah, going back to the base offense. Try and get a defender out of the box, maybe a little bigger back there in Leyburn, but gets tangled up with his quarterback on the exchange. Never had a chance to get going.
Asked Arbuckle about working with those different running backs. They've had so many of them in Toronto. He said they're all unique, but they all have to work within a system that holds them accountable. Everybody's got some different pace, some different footwork. Well, you saw the footwork that time. Clipping and potentially taking some points off the board, but momentum still in the hands of the Double Blue, trailing now 31-23 in Winnipeg. Oh, you thought the CFL was done for the week? It's back tomorrow. The Tiger Cats taking on the Elks, and it's a doubleheader. It's not just a single matchup. Yeah, you know, it's Saskatchewan going into Montreal. Coverage gets underway at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific on TSN and CTV. A couple of great games, great matchups, and I just want to give a quick shout out because that game's in Montreal on Sunday. Happy 100th birthday to 2-time Grey Cup champion Marv Levy.
How about that?
Hitting the triple digits for Marv on Sunday coming up. As Chris Strevler rips this one behind the line of scrimmage. A little bubble screen. Jared Stearns makes a man miss and pushed out of bounds. Flag comes up back at the original line of scrimmage.
Before yards were gained, illegal block, Winnipeg, number 81. It's a 10-yard penalty. We'll repeat first down.
We get Joey Corcoran on the call.
Yeah, and you suspect on a play like that as they're getting the ball near the line of scrimmage to Jareth Stearns that Joey Corcoran was perhaps trying to block a little early.
Winnipeg Blue Bombers, fewest penalties overall, penalty yards given up, offensive penalties, special teams penalties. They are disciplined. That time blocking backwards towards his own goal line. And they get Corcoran, so it forces the Bombers back. Anthony Lanier, the first to get his hands on the ball carrier, is plunging his way up into the middle of the fray once again. There's Brady Oliveira.
Yeah, a chance for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to get back to basics and maybe slow this one down a little bit. Try and douse the momentum of the Toronto Argonauts here in the 3rd quarter.
Strevler 11 of 18 in relief of Zach Collaros last week, who's out here tonight with a neck injury. Four receivers to the right of Strevler against a 5-man rush. He'll rip this one over the top of Cameron Judge into Nick Dembski's hands, who's dragged down by Tyshawn Blackburn. What a throw and catch.
Terrific touch on that one from Chris Strevler, dropping it just over top of the linebacker in coverage. Judge, and credit Nick Dembski for the concentration here.
They go quickly to the line of scrimmage and no choice but to just check it down to Brady Oliveira, as nothing else was really there, Dwayne. But yeah, the concentration of Dembski right through the middle of that Argonauts defense, pretty special.
Yeah, finds that open level in behind the linebackers, but Judge jumping right in front of him. You have to think this may have obstructed his view of the oncoming football for at least a split second. Dembski stays with it, hauls it in. Mr. Reliable.
This time they fake the screen, hand it off on the draw inside. Argonauts defense all over that one. Isaac Darkangelo. And frustrated Oliveira getting his touches, unlike this time last week, but going nowhere that time.
Yeah, Argonauts defense does a good job sniffing this one out. Fake a little look to the flat, but you can see how the defense had good penetration into the Winnipeg backfield that just never allowed Brady Oliveira to even get that downhill momentum going.
So Sergio Castillo, as the Princess Auto crowd quiets itself and allows Castillo to go to work, hammers it through. Beautiful kick as DeMonte Coxey trying to lead the Argonauts back into this. Won a career-high 145 receiving yards and a touchdown on 6 catches back in Week 8. Ranks 3rd in the CFL with 587 receiving yards. Brent Dort has more on DeMonte when we return to Winnipeg. All 6'3", 207 of DeMonte Coxey has been on display here tonight out of Memphis. In his 4th year in the Canadian Football League, he has been evolving as a player, taking on more role, responsibility, making plays all over the field, over the middle, running with physicality, yards after the catch, and he can always go and get you a jump ball for a major as well. With more, here's Brent Dort.
Yeah, he's a big reason this Toronto offense is staying alive in this game tonight, keeping that touchdown streak alive as well. Now, something Ryan Dinwiddie shared with us this week is that a lot of times your receiver, you kind of call him a 50-50 guy when they're downfield. He says with him, he's kind of like a 70-30 guy, very reliable. And his quarterback agreed. He said his ability to adjust when plays aren't going our way or I have to make a different play call, he's there. He finds that ball. He gave him a big nod last week when the conditions weren't as favorable as they are tonight. He said, I couldn't believe the way he was able to keep his hands on the ball in those rainy conditions. Now, I will say the chemistry between him and Arbuckle has been great so far this season. And guys, we learned it might be because they did a lot of off-season training together as well.
Yeah, certainly. No surprises as Arbuckle putting in the work in the offseason. Good things come to those who work. As Arbuckle this time tries to get it away to Mayala. And there's Willie Jefferson.
Looked like Nick Arbuckle on that play. Thought he just had an easy little flip to get away from the pressure. He was going to get it out to Mayala, but keep an eye on Willie Jefferson. Wins to the inside on that one. They've got the young offensive lineman guessing. I think Nick Arbuckle either didn't see him coming or underestimated the wingspan of Willie J.
The go-go gadget extendo arms of Willie Jefferson, yeah. Trying to think the last time that Willie went to the outside on a pass rush at this point. He's been winning inside all night long against the Argonauts tackles. As Arbuckle looks to his right, tipped again. And did Willie get another? Get the banjo out, number 5.
Well, Milton called for a big game from Willie Jefferson, and number 5 has answered the call. Lines up on the inside this time. Right side of your screen. Just doing what we've seen him do so many times. Using that reach to bat down a ball.
John Haggerty sends this one away, decides to go to the wide side of the field. Drops it down, Trey Bevel trying to get his momentum going forward, but the Argonauts all over it. As Jordan Younger and the Bombers defense trying to figure things out here. Luke, what's on your mind?
You know, Marshall, we talked about making the Argos earn it, and that's exactly what they're doing now. And you got to love it. They make the adjustments on the sideline. That's why I love the Bombers. And I think this is the main reason why they've been to 5 straight Grey Cups, because they can adapt on the sideline. It's a great coaching staff. You look at that, what just happened? Willie Jefferson gets going. Then you bring Tony Jones on a little pressure action right in Arbuckle's face. That's the matchup they want. Make the Argos earn points.
Having to make him go the long way. As Willie Jefferson, the game changer that he's always been, as Strevler double catches the snap, now rolls to his right and duffs this one right into the turf in front of Jarrett Stearns. Incomplete. So 2nd down and long here, as the Bombers offense trying to execute the same way that Luke was just complimenting their defense for getting the job done.
And we've seen them try to get back to Brady Oliveira and that run game a little bit. We know that's where it all begins for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Argo's doing a pretty decent job, though, containing Brady here in the second half.
Jason Hogan, offensive coordinator, dialing it up from up top as Brady Oliveira looks over the Argonauts defense. Streffler, deep drop, loads it up, looking down the seam up for grabs. It's tipped. Is it intercepted? Benji
the snap. Kerk Wheatfall is left as the lone receiver on the left side of this formation as they went quads right. And it just felt like Chris Streveler got predetermined that he was going that way, because there wasn't a point where you really felt like Wheatfall had an advantage on the defender. You saw Milton was over the top on him, able to make that tip, and Benji Franklin comes up with the INT.
Second of the ball game for Chris Streveler. The interception to Cameron Judge early on, and now Milton tips it back. A tremendous reaction to Benji Franklin intercepting, and Arbuckle just has to get rid of that one. Is very similar to what we saw in the rain back at BMO last week between these two teams in the second quarter. Just relentless pressure up front, and Toronto struggling to protect Arbuckle.
Yeah, keep an eye. Coming off the left side. Again, confusion for the young tackle. You've got the guard blocking down where they end up with a double team on the nose, and the tackle is left with two guys.
Yeah.
Just all kinds of communication issues and protection.
Jordan Younger getting after it right now. Keep an eye on Willie Jefferson. He lines up across from John Boss here on 2nd and 10. Arbuckle steps up, throws it down the right sideline. DeMonte Coxie one-on-one, and plenty of hand fighting, and that one's likely going against DeMonte Coxie, who was doing anything he possibly could to gain an advantage.
Yeah, we've seen 2 weeks of DeMonte Coxie and Terrell Bonds doing battle. Primarily on that boundary side of the field.
Offensive pass interference. Toronto, number 86. Penalty is declined. 3rd down.
And Coxie recognizing Bonds has position on that one. He's just trying to prevent 24 in blue to get there, from getting there to make an interception.
Gotta say, it's been fun watching Coxie and Bonds go back and forth, but also make a play, Britt Dort.
Yeah, you're right there.
I mean, you're
right there.
You're right in the line of fire. We'll work on it, Britt. It's okay. Haggerty, the last play of the 3rd quarter. Booms this one away. Drops it over the head of Trey Vavel, who either didn't see that or lost it in the lights. It skips into the back of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers end zone. It's a single, and that will be it for the 3rd quarter. As a single on the board, 10-point game going to the 4th quarter here in Winnipeg. The numbers after 3 quarters of play, those passing yards hugely in the advantage of the double blue, the Toronto Argonauts in control. But down the stretch, you get the sense that this is going to be a game determined by several big plays, whether it be offense, defense, or special teams. Which of those 3 units do you think cashes in if Toronto can find their way back into it?
Yeah, well, you got a little bit of a feeling that with Trey Vavel having the game that he's had, in a situation where Winnipeg has been looking for the replacement for Janarian Grant, that maybe Janarian Grant may have an answer of his own here somewhere in the 4th quarter. But you look from a Winnipeg perspective, though, if they're going to be able to hold on in this football game, I mean, that 3rd quarter in terms of points going on the board, obviously all Toronto Argonauts. Winnipeg needs to make some plays offensively here in the 4th quarter and limit the number of Toronto opportunities.
Chris Streveler flips it underneath. Downhill goes Nick Dembski. Runs right into Cameron Judge, but tremendous design that time, as they had plenty of time to discuss it during the 3rd quarter break. Firing things up here in the 4th, as Dembski gets himself sorted out. And Winnipeg trying to hold on to a 10-point advantage.
Well, Nick Dembski able to make his way to the sidelines. But nice kind of counter action here. Streveler rolling right, Dembski coming back to the left. Kendall Randolph, the right tackle, leading the way.
possession. Bounces off initial contact, rolls forward as Oliveira does so many times. Looks like a gain of 6. So second and very manageable here, crossing the 55.
Jason Hogan continuing to dial it up in that run game.
On that midfield stripe, Oliveira lines up in the backfield. Now they empty it out. Strevler, quarterback draw. One-on-one, and a nice play made that time by Aaron Casey, who's got a pair of sacks here tonight. Loses his bucket in the process. It is a big man coming downhill, and Chris Strevler, all 6'2", 222 at quarterback.
Knowing the play call that they've got, they use motion, empty out the backfield. That takes one of the linebackers, Winton McManus, kind of out of the middle of things, trying to open it up a little bit for Chris Strevler here. Nice play by Casey. Kind of fall off the edge and come make that play.
As Terry Wilson takes a snap on 3rd and short. Just gets enough. Slide his way off the side of the pile. And another Winnipeg Blue Bombers first down.
Well, get a great look at it here. That spider cam shot from above. Terry Wilson seeing his role in this offense as the short yardage guy, increasing with Chris Strevler stepping into the starter's role.
Winnipeg with the 10-point advantage, almost untouchable when leading early, owning a 58-9 record since 2017. When they are ahead, now this one back shoulder on Jared Stearns, makes the grab, spins backwards. And a high-energy, high-effort play that time. Earns probably 8 more yards than it should have originally had.
Yeah, you hear the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as, you know, both players and coaches alike within the organization get to know Jareth Stearns, who came over after a couple seasons with Saskatchewan, signs with Winnipeg as a free agent. And the words that sort of sum him up, a pro's pro, is the way he was described by both quarterback Chris Strevler and head coach Mike O'Shea. Like, just a guy who does everything right in terms of his preparation, in terms of taking care of himself, in terms of making adjustments on the field. Just a real student of the game, understands that. You know, and Mike O'Shea explained to us, you don't necessarily know sort of the details about a guy when you sign him, when you haven't had him in the building, etc. But he said when you watch Jareth Stearns on film, you could see his football IQ showed through. You know, just in terms of how he knew just the nuances of running certain routes against given coverages and making adjustments on plays on the fly and so on.
Jareth Martin makes his way to the sideline. Yeah, the thing I loved about Mike O'Shea's comment on Jareth Stearns was high IQ. One of those guys you just don't really understand the value of until you get him in the building. Yeah. And then he referenced kind of like Willie Jefferson's leadership.
Yes.
Because he said, well, like, we knew Willie was a great defensive end, sacks and knockdowns, and we didn't know he was this guy until we got him. We went, oh, like we got something really special here, and that's kind of how they feel about Stearns. But hey, Osh, don't tell too many people that free agency is a heck of a thing in the CFL. Okay, somebody else might want that in the building. Is on 2nd down and 1. Plunging forward in the middle of the pile, another Bombers first down.
Well, the intangibles go a long, long way. The success of a football team. It's as much about having the right people as it is about having the right players.
And having the blueprint. And knowing how to do it. That's what the Bombers are leaning on to get themselves out of this 3-3 mark that they're at this season, and the loss to Toronto last week on the road. As after this one, Winnipeg would go at Calgary and then back here at Princess Ottawa against the Ottawa Red Blacks. As Strevler rolls to his right, sliding down, and digging it off the turf. Jareth Stearns makes another grab. First down, Winnipeg.
once again, Chris Strevler using that athleticism to attack the edge. Fullback Michael Chrisite taking care of the defensive end, allowing him to get there. And just finds that window. Stearns working back to his QB.
Getting on the edge of where Toronto might send a little bit of pressure. As this time they will, and Strevler trying to beat the edge, can't get away, wrapped up and thrown down. What can Cameron Judge do?
An absolutely fantastic play from Cameron Judge. So you're going to see the defensive end goes to the inside on this one. Judge himself takes a little bit of an inside route, but you see his athleticism as he's able to redirect and reel in Strevler.
I just heard somebody in that Argonauts defense say after Judge made the play, come on guys, let's get off the field. Want to make a play here, 2nd and 19. 4-man rush going underneath. Corcoran makes the grab, and Darkangelo right there with Benji Franklin. And Winnipeg will settle for the field goal here to extend their lead with the clock rolling towards 9 minutes remaining in the 4th.
Take a little time off the clock, get some points on the board. Call it a successful drive here for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the second half.
Winnipeg averaging 8 points per second half over their 3-game losing streak since beginning the season 3-0. A difficult stretch, home and home against Calgary, a loss to Toronto. They are only 0-1 against the East. This is their 7th game. They've only played against 4 different opponents, but looking to make home field here in Winnipeg a fortress difficult to attack. Well, it's been a difficult couple of years for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers when it comes to Grey Cup success at the end of the year. But when you think about the successes, this man comes to mind. Jackson Jeffcoat, 38 sacks in his time working opposite Willie Jefferson for much of that. And great to see Jackson back in the house here this evening as he is one of the Bombers that got to raise the cup, hanging out, having some fun, and enjoying the hospitality of all things blue and gold tonight.
Yeah, terrific run with the Bombers. As you mentioned, he and Willie Jefferson kind of became that dynamic duo in the defensive line.
The inspiring pass rush here is one-on-one, and the catch radius, undeniable from DeMonte Coxie. Fighting off Trey Vavel that time, who, despite all of his special teams prowess, still has to deal with the range of 86.
Yeah, there's your reward for getting 2 return touchdowns in a game. Going to go out and play corner and get matched up against one of the best in the league in DeMonte Coxie. Vavel.
Pass interference, Winnipeg, number 23. Penalty is declined, 1st down.
Into the game on defense. An earlier injury to Jamal Parker.
Arbuckle, he drop steps up in the pocket, looks downfield, throws it down the seam, caught! Touchdown, Coxie! And the Argonauts aren't going away.
Well, if in doubt, when you're the Toronto Argonauts and Nick Arbuckle, throw it as far as you can in the general vicinity of number 86. Arbuckle does a nice job here to buy time, negotiating the pocket, stepping up, just until he can see that Coxie's got a step on his man. Playing him a couple of snaps to the field. He's matched up against Vavel, who doesn't have a lot of reps at defensive back here in the Canadian Football League. A tough matchup. Coxie takes advantage.
What felt like a romp to celebration in week number 9 now suddenly has Princess Auto a little quiet. It got a little tense in here all of a sudden as Nick Arbuckle slides his way to the right and knows, my best receiver's all the way back there to the left. Let me just lift this one to the skies and let Coxie go track it down for the touchdown.
Nick Arbuckle, sensing pressure, steps up, delivering a couple of strikes to DeMonte Coxey. Again, getting Coxey matched up out on that wide side of the field. Against Babel, substitution into the secondary. He's already put in some work on special teams here tonight.
Another moonshot kick. This one's up for grabs, rolling along the turf on the ground. And did the Argonauts jump on top? It is Toronto football. Jonathan Edward looks like he's the one who got on top as Liram Hairolahu steals a possession for the Argonauts. They kicked it towards Shane Gauthier again, Dwayne, and he left the football alone, and that says it all.
Well, I go back to the first kickoff of the game. Remember the confusion for Cooley, the backup running back, Quinton Cooley, in handling the football.
Yep.
And there was the ball. Well, here it lands in front of him. He's got to understand he's got to come forward and get that right away. On the kickoff, it's a live ball. He who hesitates is lost.
Cooley certainly has been a couple of times tonight. Anytime it's not near Babel, Winnipeg special teams are in trouble. When it's near him, it's gone the other way for 6 twice. As DeMonte Coxey right now, a career high 178 receiving yards, 323 in the last 2 games alone against Winnipeg.
Well, and that's back-to-back games in which he has set a new career high.
Yeah. Just keeps pushing the bar higher and higher as the Winnipeg crowd gets into this one. Trying to fight for their team, the 9th straight sellout. Argonauts staging a comeback, down 6. And on 2nd and 10, Arbuckle with all day to throw and puts it into the waiting arms of Jones. Jones steals back the possession that the Argonauts special teams had earned on their own. Arbuckle pats the football, lets it out of his hands, and starts running to cover. He knew Jones was all over it on the pass intended for Dave Unger.
The man of the moment, Tony Jones. There he is, the middle linebacker for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Watch the job he does here, just being patient and sorting out the routes around him. He sees Dave Unger coming across the field, picks him up, tracks him, and just cuts underneath. Nick Arbuckle thinks he's got an open receiver. Doesn't anticipate that the middle linebacker is going to come with him. Terrific effort, great extension there to make a play for Tony Jones. Great pickup for the Bombers last season. Filled in for Adam Bighill at middle linebacker and has made that spot his own.
Absolutely. As the Bombers offense begins with an inside handoff. Minimal gain that time. I think the reason that's going to hurt more than anything, and we know Toronto's going to get plenty of opportunities here down the stretch to try and take the lead back, but for Argonauts fans at home watching that one, you're going, oh, there's so much room out to the sideline. Just throw it to the moon and lead him out to the sideline and see if it comes down.
Spoken like a former quarterback, my friend.
I have one who's thrown many, many interceptions and didn't have the iPad to go to the sideline and go, oh, that's what I did. You just go back to the sideline and go, why didn't I just throw it all the way to the sideline? You would have run underneath it.
Yeah, use that field.
The width of the CFL to the advantage of the quarterbacks here, but that time, Tony Jones making a massive play. As Strevler on 2nd down and long looks over the middle. Caught by Dembski, 1st down. And the quick feed of Nick moving the sticks once again.
Chris Strevler, a guy who throughout his career has perhaps stood out more for his running ability than his passing ability, but he's thrown some clutch strikes in this ball game, most recently that one to Nick Dembski, and good to see Dembski back in the game after being shaken up a little earlier.
Took a couple of plays off, came right back in, and helping the Bombers move the football here. A little play action, flip it out to the flat. Dembski on the run, crosses the 45, and shrugs off the tackle attempt that time. Mark Milton on his way to the sideline, close to another first down. They'll spot it about a yard shy.
Yeah, you think about what Nick Dembski has meant to this offense.
Strebler stays in, low snap. They throw flags on the play, and was Winnipeg disorganized, trying to go quickly to the line of scrimmage as Strebler was 10 of 10 on second and third and less than a yard coming into this ball game. So highly effective in short yardage, as you would expect, but maybe the operation was at fault on this one.
Keep an eye here on the left guard, Gabe Wallace.
Procedure, Winnipeg, number 61. 5-yard penalty. It remains second down.
And keep your eye on the football there. You can just see it on the other side of the right leg of Winton McManus. A little twitch of the football by the center, Chris Kolinkowski.
A little indecision across the board that time, trying to move quickly to the line of scrimmage. So instead of second and less than a yard, it's 2nd and 5. 5 minutes remaining, leading by 6. Argos rush 4. Strebler checks it down. Oliveira's got to go earn it against Cameron Judge. He shrugs him off, makes the play, cuts back inside the 30, and Brady O moves the chains.
One of the things that has stood out in the second half of this football game, as it has become increasingly close, increasingly competitive, has been both of these teams. You look at the guys they go to when they need a big play.
Yep.
DeMonte Coxey has been the go-to guy for the Toronto Argonauts, having himself a monster night here for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. You saw the profile on them earlier in this ball game, the hometown heroes, Nick Dembski and Brady Oliveira, front and center.
Flag came up at the end of the play here. Justin McInnes has
After
the call.
the play was over, there's 2 fouls. You have unnecessary roughness, Winnipeg, number 53. Face mask, Toronto, number 94. Those penalties will offset. It'll be first down.
Neufeld and Andrew Chatfield getting after it. I also saw Ryan Dinwiddie running onto the field. Looked like he was asking for whether or not there wasn't holding, maybe against Jarrah Stearns down the field, but there's 94 and 53 at the end of the play.
Yeah, keep an eye. There's 53, Pat Neufeld.
Chasing the pile.
Yeah, get off my running back. Chatfield takes exception, grabs the face mask. They both feel shame, and it's 1st and 10.
Snap comes up to Strebler. Will sneak Dembski back into the flats. Makes another man miss, and somehow Dembski and Oliveira just keep finding ways to break tackles in the open field and earn extra yardage after the catch.
High percentage plays and rely on some of your other guys.
Timeout, Toronto.
You keep an eye on some of the receivers. Kevin Sklercius out wide, Joey Corcoran. Those are the guys going to work for Nick Dembski to make this play. Sklercius, big receiver, does a nice job delaying Benji Franklin a little bit there.
Takes me back to the CFL draft night this end of April this year, where you and I looked at each other after they took Michael Chris Ike at fullback and Kevin Sklercius and a couple of different, mix and match here and get one of these, and we both went, oh, I see what they're doing. Super physical guys to block down field.
Yeah.
Use you on special teams if you need. As Terry Wilson comes in, second and a couple of yards here and pushing his way through the middle. Somehow Brady Oliveira comes shooting out of the cannon on the front side of the play. We'll see if they got it on the first attempt, but happy to let some clock bleed if they need to go for it on 3rd down, no doubt.
Unfittingly, Sklercius and Chris Ike back-to-back picks in that draft at 13 and 14 for Winnipeg 2024.
Chris Ike setting up on the left-hand side here as Terry Wilson plunged his way forward. Chatfield ripping away. Winton McManus trying to get the football out as well, but Wilson secures the rock, gains a yard, but needs another.
Searching for a touchdown on every drive.
Off the right-hand side. Wilson very nearly broke the entire 24-man scrum and headed to the end zone on that one. First down, Winnipeg.
Yeah, and absolutely big that they're able to keep possession. Combination of keeping that clock going, but this is a drive where what you desperately want is a touchdown, not to be forced to settle for a field goal, which keeps it as a one-score football game. Bombers are thinking end zone all the way here.
Seems like an unimportant element in the grand scheme of this back-and-forth football game, but man, does Terry Wilson ever have command of the short yardage package all of a sudden.
Yeah, he's done a terrific job stepping into that role.
Never would have thought they'd use him over Strevler, but has to. He's been fantastic this season. Strevler now goes back to work. Little pump on the outside, looking for a slant. Go to Tavares McFadden. That's not the man you want to go after. Number 2. All the ball skills to steal it away. And Strevler throws his third as we hit the 3-minute warning.
Tavares McFadden, a man with a nose for the football. And a great sense of timing. Huge interception there.
Well, you want takeaways? These are the two men that'll give it to you. Just like we were talking about pregame, Luke. Great throws made at times, but man, some frustrating decisions down the stretch.
Definitely some frustrating decisions. If you're a Bombers fan, that last one really hurts because it was a great drive. But I got to say, as an ex-offensive guy, we love to make jokes about defensive players and how, they can't catch. And I think both of these picks are phenomenal catches. Jones leaves his feet here. It's practically a diving catch. He's on the run, rolls over. And this right here by McFadden, you want to talk about ball skills. High points this ball, then keeps it away from the receiver who becomes a defender. Those are tremendously athletic plays. You'll love to see it.
Arbuckle has this one tipped up at the line of scrimmage. But you're right, Luke. I mean, we always think, well, these guys can't make plays, but to be able to go and get it down in crunch time, that is the stuff that can win you a game at this point.
It definitely is. And right now, I got to be honest, the electricity in this building and the way the Bombers defense is playing and coming downhill, I wish I had a jersey on right now. It's electric down here. I'm having the time of my life.
I was going to say, you wish you could chip Willie J in the fourth quarter?
I don't know about that. Maybe catch a few balls. But this Bombers defense is on fire right now, especially up front.
2nd and 10. We'll see what Arbuckle can do here, trailing by 6. Got to start to push the football down the field. Can they find DeMonte Coxie? As over the middle, knocked down once again.
Willie Jefferson. It's just Willie being Willie. A constant presence in the face of Nick Arbuckle. Just when you think you've got a throwing lane, number 5 throws up one of those big mitts.
Well, Toronto hunts it away with Haggerty. Starting to feel like Grey Cup 2024, really. Just game changer. Can't get away from him. Inevitable. Got a variety of talents. And you can tell he's happy to be home here in Winnipeg.
Yeah, far right side of your screen is Willie Jefferson. And uses that reach to get the tackle's hands off. Great separation and bat that one down.
And can this be the dagger drive? Stretch things out from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers offense to reward Willie J for all of his efforts. Toronto's got to think it's going to be quick run game, but instead they'll flip it out. And the extension of the running game, that time Bratton comes downhill on Jareth Stearns. Solid pickup. Clock continues to roll.
And clock management being the key here for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Don't even give the Argos a chance to get back in it.
Big 736, cannon pump. I want her to 46.
Let's keep eye on that play clock.
Yeah, play clock at 10 seconds. I was about to say they're rather casual getting out of the huddle, just managing it at this point. And Strevler, quick run fake, looks down the field. And thinks about getting out of the pocket, runs right into the waiting arms of Anthony Lanier on 2nd and 4. So the Toronto Argonauts will get the football back here. 2 minutes remaining, single score game.
And I think Chris Strevler, after throwing the last interception, recognizes, don't see what you want, don't take any chances with the football.
Timeout, Toronto.
Yeah, if he could have just slipped through that first level. The rest of that D had backed off in coverage, but good job by Lanier and the D-line shutting down the gaps.
Lanier has had a night. We talked about the most active defensive lineman for Toronto being Chatfield Jr. with 31 quarterback pressures coming in, get pressures on 16.9% of his pass rushes, which is the best in the CFL. But Lanier's had tips and rushes and gotten in on Brady Oliveira, and feels like he's had as much of an impact as anybody in that front as Dave Unger goes back. 2-man return, Janarian Grant. They'll cover off the field. No need to send pressure here. Sheehan will send this one away. Who will he pick? Steps to the right, hooks it back to the left. Janarian Grant catches it at his 12-yard line. Cuts across the 20. Oh, thought he had a little bit of space for a second there. As we see the way this game has unfolded, it has been a fun one in the Peg. 17-6 in that second quarter, and Winnipeg was in control after a 13-point first half. It was 31-13, but all of a sudden, Toronto starts gaining a little bit of momentum in that third quarter, but they're up against this. The home crowd in Winnipeg, and that man right there, who undoubtedly will get his hands up in the way of anything Nick Arbuckle wants to send down the field. DeMonte Coxie is at the bottom of your screen. Another career high in receiving yards tonight, breaking last week's new career high. Arbuckle pressure on and throws this one. A difficult contested catch attempt from DeVaris Daniels. And right off that hash, it falls incomplete, 2nd and 10.
Dietrich Nichols supplying the coverage. As Daniels works towards the middle, Arbuckle. Again, with Willie Jefferson in his face as he attempts to deliver that one.
And in comes the crowd on 2nd and 10. Arbuckle tries to escape and check it down. You can't get away from him. You can't escape him.
Well, by my count, that's Willie Jefferson's 4th knockdown of the game. To go along with a sack that forced a fumble that was recovered for a touchdown. A monstrous performance. Beats his man to the inside. And this is baptism by fire. For the young tackles of the Toronto Argonauts, dealing with Jefferson all night.
Winnipeg hoping to eliminate the recent memories of double-digit losses. 3 games straight they've had them. Arbuckle gets this one past Willie J. Into traffic and incomplete. Knocked away. Tony Jones there in coverage alongside Trent Babel, who's got 2 return touchdowns here tonight. And Dave Unger immediately got up, ran to the Argonauts sideline and said, please get your red flag out for a challenge.
Yeah, Unger is going to come all the way across from far right side of your screen, offensive left in the formation. And here you'll see, ball's not there yet. You know, and tough to say if the right hand of Babel, if there was any kind of tug on the jersey or if it was just kind of that gentle touch as he was trailing the receiver.
Ryan Dinwiddie watches on. 93 seconds remaining and already in field goal range for Winnipeg as Brady Oliveira. No interest in settling for 3 points. He'd like to punctuate this one in week 9.
You look at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in their effort tonight, their leaders have led. You think about some of the guys who have been here the longest and played big roles, the likes of Willie Jefferson, Brady Oliveira, Nick Dembski.
Fake the end around here, handoff inside. Isaac Darkangelo, first contact for the Argonauts defense. Quentin McManus continues to play hard right to the very bitter end.
You know, and certainly when you look at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, you think about Mike O'Shea's background, a guy who was a star as a linebacker in the Canadian Football League, but even as a starter, played a lot of special teams. It was something that was always important to him. Started his coaching career as a special teams coordinator. So it's something that's always been near and dear, emphasized by him. Mike Miller is now the special teams coordinator. Special teams has delivered in a big way with 2 return touchdowns in this ball game.
Sergio Castillo, 36 yards away. Flags are up as the kick is good. And did Winnipeg line up incorrectly here? As the replay official back at the CFL Replay Center is Dave Foxcroft tonight, looking things over, communicating with Justin McInnes, the referee, and as you said, the execution paramount on special teams for Mike Miller and Mike O'Shea.
Illegal formation for only 6 players on the line of scrimmage against Winnipeg. 5-yard penalty will replete the field goal.
So well within range, and Miller talking to Willie Jefferson there and hoping that Castillo just casually knocks this one through once again and creates a 2-score game with 42 seconds.
Just to clarify, always offensively have to have 7 players on the line of scrimmage.
Hold down like it never happened. Castillo steps through a clean strike and 3 more points on the board. But what a monster night for Willie Jefferson.
Willie being Willie. Gets the knockdown there, follows it up. Another one, and another one.
Well, it just comes to mind as I say that Willie had a monster night, Dwayne, that if there's ever a CFL Space Jam spinoff, this has got to be one of the Monstars, no?
No question. Man, I feel like this was a game that Willie Jefferson needed to have for Willie, too. You know, they've been held to 1 sack on the season so far. But just to reassert himself, so to speak. And he has done that in a big way.
I found it interesting talking to him last week. I don't think a lot of people understand kind of the unknown analytical mind of Willie Jefferson.
Yeah.
They just see the big athlete go, well, he just runs after the quarterback, and that's how he wins. Yeah. If anybody out there listening to this has a chance to sit down one day and actually really pick the mind of Willie Jefferson, you will be blown away. The way that he approaches the game and has for a long time. Janarian Grant returns this kickoff out to the 35-yard line, pushed out of bounds into the Toronto bench. And some pushing and shoving on the way out towards the other side of the field. And out comes Nick Arbuckle with 30 seconds remaining and a valiant attempt to come back, but that Tony Jones interception really feels like it killed what they had moving forward.
Defense got stops when they needed to here in the 4th quarter. For the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, stemming the momentum gained by Toronto in the 3rd. offense moved the ball, ate up some clock.
Arbuckle thought about checking it down. Instead, he'll throw it as high and as far as he can as Coxie picks it up, drops it down away from the defender. No flags down. A massive battle between Bonds and Coxie. I think 24 will be happy to see the end of this Coxie matchup in a couple of minutes, but this one's not over yet because Coxie just refuses to stop fighting to the football.
Yeah, exactly. Both kind of fighting for space. Bonds trying to wall him off. Coxie trying to fight his way to the football.
Winnipeg is challenging the previous play for offensive pass interference. The play will be reviewed.
Toronto was running out the field goal unit to try and go for 3 immediately, go onside, and then throw a Hail Mary towards the end. Take the points up front when you can, but Winnipeg challenging for pass interference, and this one might be going back a long way.
Looked like a little bit of maybe what we'll call physicality from each of the two players on this play. We'll see if there's, and yeah, maybe you saw Coxie's left hand come up over the shoulder of Bonds on the outside here as he sheds the defender. Left hand was on the back, right hand on the front of the pads before Bonds goes down. You see they're both fighting for a decision, a close call, but
after review by the replay center, we have offensive pass interference. Toronto, number 86. 10-yard penalty, and we will repeat first down.
Mike O'Shea, 3 of 3 on challenges on the season as Coxie has the jaw drop. You get the sense that Coxie's had so much success in this matchup the last couple of weeks that in desperation late in this game, he's kind of, I can get away with anything. I'm untouchable in this. Not quite.
Yeah, well, the combination of that and just the Argos approach in general. You know, you think about Britt's hit earlier about the Argos viewing Coxie as not a 50-50 ball guy, but a 70-30 ball guy that you're willing to take your chances, just putting the ball up and letting him fight for it. And you know, sometimes he's going to come down with the catch, sometimes they're going to be forced to take a defensive PI call, and sometimes you're going to get what you just got. But I'm sure the Argos will continue to take their chances throwing deep to number 86.
Gordon Younger, defensive coordinator, instructing Trey Babel in the secondary to back up, give up the underneath throw. Coxie will happily take that as he tries to rush towards the sideline. 10 seconds remaining. And this one all but done after that offensive pass interference call. Sends them back deep to Toronto's end of the field.
Linebackers are 25 yards off. Secondary another 10 yards beyond that.
Morris Daniels pads the stats at the end of the night, but you hear the cheers from the 9th straight sellout. And Willie Jefferson in conversation with the man he harassed relentlessly all night long as John Boss, a tough night dealing with these defensive ends, and a lot of love between Arbuckle and Willie J, but a tough result for the Argonauts. Will likely on the trip home believe that they deserved a little bit better in this one.
Yeah, terrific battle. The Argos dug their way out of a big hole in the second half of this one to make a game of it. But the Winnipeg Blue Bombers made the plays they needed to down the stretch to hold off the charge.
Willie Jefferson said he wanted to leave a legacy that was difficult to deny, and despite the fact that Toronto has had Winnipeg's number recently, there is no doubting that Willie J has been a force to behold against the Argonauts offensive line, despite the fact that they are banged up, playing some young guys all over the place. Jefferson is the emotional leader, certainly the veteran of this defense. He made plenty of plays tonight. Cameron Judge made his own. Chris Strevler with a couple of great rushing touchdown wells. We we see the talents of Nick Deske, Trey Babel, and Brady Oliveira on display. More CFL coming your way tomorrow, a double-header to round out week number 9 in the Canadian Football League. For Brittendorf, Wayne Ford, I'm Marshall Ferguson. Thanks so much for watching. Time now for SportsCenter with Jennifer Hedger and Laura Dyken.